pretty happy with that choice. Kenny Öberg appears to have game 1 under control. Kenny shifts the turn back over to Luis, who has 2 forests and a Llanowar Elf.
Needs to draw running shamans here.
Pretty much. Oh, Llanowar Elf attacks and kills Tezzeret. That's a nice play. Pretty straightforward, but not everybody will see something like that. Top 8, the light shining. I think Kenny's right to just spend 5 mana for... Effectively, he spent 5 mana for Trinisphere. Right?
Sure. He tinkered. Regal Force looks like it went to the graveyard for LSV.
Yeah, he
started it.
Can't play anything, so he's in discard mode. Mox and a couple of lands for Vidalcan Shackles.
Vidalcan Shackles, steal your land.
Steals the elf. Wow, now he can't even play the shaman if he does top deck it.
Go.
Everything going exactly the way Kenny Öberg drew it up. Yeah, LSV scoops them up. Give me my Llanowar Elf back. Wow. Blisteringly quick game 1 victory for Kenny Öberg.
That was the game where I had more of a chance.
Challenge for 1 is gigantic. I mean, the Challenge of the Void is another... You know, people talk about the Tezzeret. People talk about the kill spells. Like, by the way, Kenny's going to go get 4 copies of Fire Spout in his sideboard.
Absolutely.
He's going to just play an attrition war. He's like, every turn, my goal is kill however many elves you played out. You know, can you go off complete from nothing in 1 turn? That's the challenge. Luis either needs to kill on turn 2 before Kenny can get anything online, or he's just going to have stuff dying every turn.
Yeah, Kenny said the only cards that matter in this match are his Fire Spouts, his Explosives, and his Chalice.
Right. Now, the Chalice of the Void, if you look at Kenny's deck list, this may not be immediately obvious when you look at it, but there is not a single 2 casting cost card anywhere in his deck list. Like, when he put the deck together, he figured Chalice for 2 could actually destroy almost everybody in the field. Like, pretty much every deck has really powerful 2-drops. In addition, a lot of the blue decks have spell snares.
Right.
So it's just another, again, really sort of elegant, innovative deck-building element of this deck.
Right.
Not a 2-drop anywhere.
And he's going to side out all his 1s this game.
Is he really?
Yeah, he sides out all his 1s.
What are they, Stifle?
Stifles and Spell Snares.
That's all he's got at 1?
I
Yeah,
mean, spell Snares, he said if he was playing one of the different elf decks, he might leave the Spell Snares in because he can set Chalice on 0 to hit Summoner's Pack.
Okay.
And then he can sort of Spell Snare Hive Masters or maybe a Visionary if someone's trying to get out of a bind. But against Luis, who's not playing the Hive Masters, he can just get rid of all his 1s, set his Chalice on 1.
Yeah, Chalice 1 is ridiculous.
And then just load up on his sweepers.
Sure. Does he leave a couple hard counters in for Shamans, do you think? Is he trying to defend?
He did not say he was taking them out, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of... I mean, Stifles and Spell Snares gives him room to bring a lot of stuff in, so...
Yeah.
And on the back 3 tables, just got the word from Witch down on the floor. There are 25 elves in play across those 3 tables. So everybody's still in game 1. Alright, what does LSV's sideboard have for him?
Let's take a look. He's got 4 Thoughtseizes. So one of the things, he's playing a lot of black mana in his main deck, including the Elves of Deep Shadow, which you mentioned in the pregame.
Yep.
And he can try to tear apart Kenny's hand and get himself set up. You know, he can go off on turn 2, turn 3. Taking a time card. He's also, I don't know, I mean, I assume he's going to bring in his additional Shamans.
Sure.
And he might bring in Null Mage Shepherd.
I mean, if you've got Null Mage Shepherd in your sideboard, what better match are you going to have than the Artifact Lock deck?
I know he wasn't very happy with the card, but this may be the time where he's happy with it.
Like I said, unless he's just, oops, I'm playing a 14-card sideboard, I can't imagine the matchup where you'd rather have Null Mage Shepherd than the Artifact Lock deck.
So I'm just looking at the road Kenny Öberg took to get here.
Okay.
And when you look at what he played down the end of the tournament starting, he played elves, fairies.
Wow.
Down the stretch of this tournament.
Win, loss, win.
Right. He played them 6 straight rounds, 10 to 15.
Okay.
He went 4-2 on the day. And
the loss to Saito is a scoop, though.
Right.
He'd already clinched top 8, and he let Saito in.
So that's a 4-1 in terms of real life.
Yeah, 4-1 against the elf decks on that.
And his losses to Martin Juza.
Sure.
Interestingly about this top 8 is all these guys have also played each other.
It's true. I mean, you play 16 rounds of Swiss. The people at the top get very familiar with each other. Like, pretty much they had all played each other over the course of the day.
Yeah. In fact, Kenny's only losses in the tournament are to Elves.
Sure. The squeeze to Saito and the loss to Juza.
Yeah, the rest.
I mean, he had the best record. He went 14-2.
Right. The rest of his field, he 3-0'd fairies, which bodes well for him in this bracket. He's 2-0 against Zoo. I assume all on day one.
There were not Zoo decks at the top of the Swiss, that's for sure.
And
I didn't see one after about lunch yesterday.
He went 2-0 against Next Level Blue, and interestingly, was 4-2 against the top 8. He played 6 of the players in this top 8.
6 of the other 7?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, no, I really thought when you saw the 8-0, it just felt like one of those, okay, guy you maybe heard of, has an innovative deck, runs the table on day one. Those decks, those stories usually end with like a 3-5 or a 2-6 and a little bit of cash and maybe an invite to the next Pro Tour.
Well, wasn't that the Martin Juza story from Malaysia?
Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, 10th and 19th are a little better than 3-5 for 40 something. But
you XO day one and then.
But Kenny delivered 6-2 on day 2, and one of the losses he gave away. On purpose. So that's an impressive story, and it's really a credit to his deck building. He just out of left field came up with this deck and this strategy that no one was expecting and that everybody is currently terrified of. Be interesting to see. Like, the secret is out now, right? Now that his deck list is known, these guys, they get to see each other's deck list ahead of time. So the mystery is gone, and they've had the chance to play test against it. That definitely hurts Öberg's chances, but if the deck is just that good, it'd be an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
He just has some definite trump cards against LSV. What LSV really needs to do is thought seize on turn 1 and somehow, go off on turn 2 or 3.
Right.
And that's Öberg's plan. His plan is to change the timing of your deck.
It's like turn 1 Lano RL for Luis. Same start as last game, but this time he's on the play. So, this turn for Kenny, I mean, maybe if he goes Chrome Mox into Chalice, he's deliriously happy, but probably he's going to play a land and cross his fingers that he gets another turn. Chrome Mox. That's definitely a happy card for Kenny Öberg. Removes, couldn't quite see what? Land? There it is! Chalice of the Void for 1! The dream opening for Kenny Öberg.
But now we're on 4 Shamans instead of...
And there is Viridian Shaman. Still, he gets to this turn. He's got 3 mana. What did he remove? What color is the Mox? There's Pyrite... Oh, is that Engineered Explosives? Yeah, so Explosives for 1 and ships the turn.
We have unusually small monitors this time out. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Cryptic Command was the Chrome Mox card. Interesting, from the sideboarding, it sounds like LSV declined to put Thought Seize into his deck. Alright.
Engineered Explosives just took out a Nettle Sentinel in the Llanowar Elves.
Makes sense.
Shaman's been going on the beat down here.
Sure. I mean, that's the way, like I said, Kenny's playing an attrition war.
I tell you, a lot of times it turns out during the tournament, LSV would side out his combo and just either go to some sort of beatdown plan. So
interesting.
He's brought
Trinket Mage.
He's brought in Jittes here apparently. So
really, he brought in Jitte and not Thoughtseize. This is not the matchup I expected Jitte to come in during. What does Kenny get with this Trinket Mage? Is it, I mean, Chalice for 0 he could throw out to stop Summoner's Pact. Does not have any red mana. I wouldn't be shocked to see Great Furnace here. He gets Chalice of the Void. Now, do you play it for 0 or do you hold it for a turn?
I mean, playing it for 1 just nulls so much more.
Yeah, I think you hold it for a turn.
You got it. No.
Now, an update on the back table. Martin Juza and Sebastian Thaler both have their Essence Wardens again. 49 to 43 in terms of life totals.
I like how after the last time those guys played each other, everybody on the coverage team scrambled to make sure that the monitors here could
handle a 4-digit life total.
4-digit life total, yeah.
All right, Luis plays a Nettle Sentinel and a Birchflower Ranger, taps both of them for a Llanowar Elves, which untap the Sentinel, which goes into, is that a Visionary?
That was an Elves of Deep Shadow.
Oh, Elves of Deep Shadow untapping the Sentinel, but he fixed the turn, and there's Explosives for 1. Wow.
And Trinket Mage gets in.
Trinket Mage gets in there. This is the game for Kenny Öberg. Like, play out your elves. I'm going to blow them all up. I'm going to 2-for-1 you. I'm going to 3-for-1 you. And you're not going to be able to stitch your combo together if you always start the turn with no elves in play.
And again, he has Academy Ruin, so there's some point in the game where that's just inevitable.
Yeah, his late game is awesome. I mean, Academy Ruins for Engineered Explosives pretty much sets him to where he can do it every turn. All right, now we know he's got the Chalice. Is that Pithing Needle?
He just played a Pithing Needle.
What is he going to name? Name's Pendelhaven. There's Pendelhaven in play on Luis' side of the board.
So now he can attack into the Llanowar Elf.
And there's the Chalice for 1 that we saw him get.
He chooses.
Yeah, leaves Trinket Mage on defense. He's losing the life raise 18 to 15.
Suddenly it looks like a game of Seal back.
So Kenny's side of the board is Chalice for 1, Pithing Needle set to Pendelhaven, a Trinket Mage, and a Chrome Mox. He's also got 3 lanes. Luis has got a Llanowar Elves and a Viridian Shaman. Luis looking over. He managed to shaman away 1 Chalice for 1, but now a second one has come back, and that shuts down pretty much, 30 cards from his deck.
Go.
Oh, Tomoharu Saito has taken game 1 of his match, so Saito leads Doise 1 to 0. Öberg is up a game here, and the other 2 quarterfinal matchups are still in game 1. Comes Thirst for Knowledge from Kenny.
It actually shuts down 28 cards.
28 cards, yeah.
My turn.
Kenny draws a couple of cards, filters his hand, untaps. There's the die, set to 1, sitting on top of Chalice of the Void. 28 cards have been turned off by that 1 card.
Take 1. 14. Virtual card advantage.
Huh?
I gotta admit, I was somewhat kind of expecting Kenny to be a little nervous. He seemed a little, not quite rattled down the stretch yesterday, but didn't seem as crisp.
Vidalcan Shackles gets added to his board.
But
looks like he's going to steal Viridian Shaman, so Trinket Mage can get in there.
But he just looks really sharp, confident. Knows what his deck does. Knows he's advantaged. Luis is just passing turns, so
what's he going to do? I mean, we
didn't even have time for the camera to switch back for Ellis.
Viridian Shaman getting in there, along with the Trinket Mage. 4 more points of life. LSV down to 12. Were you expecting a blowout?
I wasn't expecting a blowout.
I wasn't either. Another Thirst for Knowledge.
Do you think we'll see LSV go to maybe a different plan for Game 3?
I don't know. I would want Thoughtseize, I think.
He felt that the matchup was close to 50%, although not in his favor when he was testing last night. Go. You want to draw a step?
Yeah. This is,
I take 3, down to 11.
Zatlkaj is at 68 life in his deck. All three of those guys have the Essence Ward and Hive Master version, so.
And then I click target 2. I didn't draw anything good.
Here comes a click. Did you just catch him with Shaman in his hand?
He does.
Mid-draw phase?
I do. I believe so. Yeah. In comes the elf.
All right, Kenny Öberg completely in control, already up a game. Scott-Vargas finally making his top 8 debut. Definitely was on the short list of best players without a Pro Tour top 8. Bunch of money finishes, the U.S. national team twice, including a win. This is not the Pro Tour top 8 Sunday stage debut he was looking for.
Go. Is that going to be enough to extend the hand? Yeah.
There's the scoop, and Kenny Öberg, 2 games to 0. Wow.
A lot of love for Kenny Öberg in this room here, huh?
Yeah. Kenny looking pretty confident, too, like you said. He didn't sound super confident yesterday. We're talking to him, and he was nervous, in particular about the faster version of the Elf deck that Luis brought to battle. Luis does go back to his sideboard, starts looking through. Kenny's just shuffling. He's got a plan. He knows what it is. Interestingly, on the back table, German player Denis, who's got the fairy deck in his top 8, playing against Zatlkaj. Zatlkaj has gotten a million life off of Essence Wars. Not actually a million, like 60.
Sure, very close.
But Denis has now got a Jite going, so he's starting to just pick off elves right and left. When the fairy deck gets the Jite going, it is really hard to win with the elf deck.
That definitely, I know a couple people who had talked about fairies and whether or not it was going to work in extended, and it really seems like Jite was the difference between getting that deck to work. No small part due to the presence of the elf decks this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, Denis, if you read his top 8 profile, he says the reason he chose fairies is because it beats the elf ball deck. He expected elves to be the most played deck at the Pro Tour, and deliberately chose fairies because of what he perceived to be a really good matchup against the elf deck.
It was interesting. Day one of this tournament was sort of a crapshoot as far as what you might play against. I mean, you were 1/3, to play against Zoo. But your matchups on day 1 and day 2 are so dramatically different in this tournament.
I think I disagree with you. I mean, as normal tournaments go, I think this field was more predictable and better defined. You had Zoo. Everybody in the top 8 expected Zoo to be the most played deck, with the exception of Sinner, who thought it was going to be Elves. And everybody in the top 8 had Elves as the second most played top deck. So pretty much Elves and Zoo were 1-2 in some order, according to everybody. All 8 of these guys predicted the field. And, it's not like you see fields sometimes with like, okay, the most played deck is at 10 or 15% of the field. This one, you've got, a 30% and a 20%. So that's I think, as fields go, more predictable. Now, I do agree that day 1 versus day 2, you're going to get different matchups. Okay, if that's your point.
Yeah, that's my point.
Day 1, you had to be able to beat the Zoo decks.
I mean,
if you could beat Zoo, then you get to go to day 2, where the question is, can you beat fairies?
Now, if you look at what people did on day 1, they played maybe elves, maybe once or twice, and then played against 5 or 6 different decks. One elf deck here, 2 elves deck here, and then just the things you played on day 1 are like Seismic Loam, Second Breakfast, Zoo, Next Level Blue, Storm, Junk, Rift Slide.
Yeah, the field was more diverse on day 1. Day 2 was all about the elf deck, so that's a good point.
What is this going to mean for the results from this tournament mean for World Championships?
Yeah, I mean, it is this format, right? Extended is one of the formats at Worlds. I feel like this elf deck has beat a bull. If you set your mind to it, and I mean, we're seeing Kenny Öberg set his mind to it, I think you can beat them. Now, the question is, can you beat the elf decks and still be resilient to Zoo, right? Because the way you built the elf deck is, Chalice and Trinisphere, and, maybe a lot of these cards, though, are going to be good against Zoo. Something like, with the -1/-1 instant, Nausea is actually amazing if the elf deck. Nausea is not so good against Zoo, but cards like Fire Spout and Pyroclasm are pretty good against Zoo. Dark Blast is another card I heard that is really good against the Elf deck.
Yeah, that's
Not as good against Zoo.
not bad against fairies either.
But I mean, the fact that both the Elves deck and the Zoo deck is a bunch of cheap, smallish creatures, it seems like you can build dedicated hate deck that could survive in this field pretty well. I mean, that's what we're going to find out at Worlds, right? Okay, the Elf deck, not everybody knew about it coming to this tournament. I mean, a lot of people knew about it, and certainly the people who did well were the people who either found it and or prepared for it. But now it's really got the bullseye on its forehead. We get to go into Worlds where you know that everybody knows about the Elf deck, and it has a target on its forehead, so now what?
Right. Cover the Wizards logo on your shirt for a second and put your CMU hat on.
Sure.
You're going to World Championships to play.
Sure.
Just right now, not knowing which of these decks will win, because obviously the metagame is going to... If the Tesserator deck wins the World Championships,
right,
or the Fairy deck wins Pro Tour Berlin, it's going to change people's perception somewhat.
Yes.
Just looking at right now, what would you be thinking about going into Worlds?
I'm going to be able to... I'm going to have a lot of small removal spells. I'm going to have an anti-small creature deck.
You're not going to play Elves.
I'm not going to play Elves, no. I would not play Elves. I think it's too fragile. I think it's too vulnerable. I think you can beat it, and so I'd be playing something that could beat Elves and beat Zoo. Maybe that's Tesserator. Maybe it's Fairies, right, with Jittes. Fairies with Jittes sounds wrong to me, but I do see there's 4 Fairy decks in the top 16 of this tournament, right? Only one in the top 8, but 9th place is a Fairies deck, 13th place is a Fairies deck, 15th place is a Fairies deck. It did perfectly reasonable here. Oh, by the way, Denis Sinner has now taken game 1 with his Fairies deck.
Oh, overcame a 60-point deficit?
Yes, he spotted Zatlkaj's 60-ish life, but gunned everything down with a Jitte. So Sinner up a game, Saito up a game, Juza and Thaler are bogged down just like when they were in the Swiss, and Öberg leads 2-0 here. 79 life apiece, Juza and Thaler. At least they haven't gotten up to the hundreds and thousands that they hit in the Swiss. And we'll see. It's still early.
Are we going to see a scenario where we're eating lunch while they're still playing game 4?
They only have 72 creatures in play right now.
So it's very funny that Elves has been the story, but there's actually a scenario where Sinner and Öberg could meet in the finals.
True. All right, Kenny Öberg looking at his hand.
3 underway.
Did he mulligan? I think that's a 6-card hand he's contemplating. And he keeps the 6-card hand. Luis leads with...
Looks like a Llanowar Elf.
Isn't that Birchflower Ranger?
Is that a Birchflower Ranger? Sorry.
Yeah,
these monitors are extremely tiny.
Yeah. Now here comes a Visionary off of Pendelhaven. Draws a card, uses Birchflower Ranger for Llanowar Elves.
Cards?
Now, Kenny did not have a Chrome Mox in this draw. He's gone Island.
And there's Chalice.
There's Chalice for 1. Luis is going to have to blow that up with a Shaman before it can go off, which makes it unlikely for him to win this turn, although still not impossible. Third land reveals Heritage Druid to get Guiltleaf Palace untapped, and there's Jitte. Suits up Birchflower Ranger and gets in there for 2 counters and 2 damage.
So it gets in for 2 damage. Interesting. He's definitely just
playing it to win aggro.
Decided he's playing a beat down Elf deck.
Now what? Kenny contemplates his options.
It's like Christmas morning here.
Yes, a much larger monitor has just appeared, miraculously fallen from the sky. Yeah, Christmas morning is when Thaler and Juza may finish game 1.
So, red mana source.
Yeah, red mana source. Fire spout would be pretty good here. Guess the Jete actually keeps Birchler Ranger alive through that, right? Here comes Trinket Mage.
For engineered explosives, I'm assuming.
Yep, Trinket Mage for engineered explosives. So presumably he's gonna...
So funny, I really feel like Trinket Mage was a guy that was just written off after Sensei's Dividing Top was banned.
Yeah, it's fair. That used to be his mission in life, is go get a top, right?
There's just still so many, excellent,
yeah, it's really
Chromox's lands.
Well, I think the thing that most people missed, which is what Kenny found, is that Tezzeret does the same stuff.
Right.
Like the fact that Tezzeret can go get cheap artifacts, all of a sudden your toolbox of Trinket Mage stuff, you've got this redundancy in your deck. You've got 7 ways to go get those cards instead of just 4. Okay, Llanowar Elves, Elvish Visionary, and Birchler Ranger swing in. Kenny goes to block Llanowar with Trinket Mage, but Pendelhaven wins that fight. Jete is up to 4 counters.
No, I believe he removed 2 counters to pump.
Oh, he pumped?
And then got 2 new counters.
Okay.
So, which is why Kenny chump blocked there. He just wanted to.
Yeah, no, he's
trying to make himself another turn.
Luis has got some damage going, and that Jite's not going to go away. Like explosives for 1, he's got one of his 2 drops at least in a Visionary.
Right.
In fact, you could explosives for 2 here to get the Jete in a Visionary.
That actually seems like the better play.
Assuming he's got a 4th land. I mean, Chalice for 1 is still a must-answer threat for Luis. I mean, Kenny just needs to not lose to damage here. He's only got 9 points of life left. I think you have to kill the Jete and the Visionary.
Yeah.
Then the clock is 3. Has to come up with a way to deal with the 1/1s. Luis onto something here? Jete dodges Chalice, dodges explosives, or at least forces him to explosives for 2 instead of 1. Yeah, there's engineered explosives for 2. That's exactly the play that Kenny decides on. Jete goes away, Visionary goes away. Still a pair of 1-mana elves for Luis. If he can deal with Chalice,
right, which is a 3-turn clock with the Pendelhaven,
right? There's Visionary. Another card for Luis. Can't cast his 1-drop, so 28 cards from his deck have been shut down. But he's got some beatdown. Here's 2 more mana for another Visionary. Drawing the card, digging for Shaman, and adding to his beatdown. Birchlore gets in there for 1, dropping Kenny to 8. So a Fire Spout would get the job done here. Engineered Explosives is not quite good enough.
Interestingly, it's still the same turn 3 clock. 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't attack.
There's Fire Spouts. All 4 down. Now, there is only 1 2-mana creature left in Luis Scott-Vargas' entire deck. He's got 1 Visionary left that he can play around that Chalice.
He can play a Shaman, too, though.
Well, pretty much, which my point being, pretty much the game is now Shaman or no, and there's the Shaman. Okay. Luis dug with the Visionary for a couple of turns, came up with the Viridian Shaman, gets rid of the Chalice for 1 that was closing off most of his deck. Now what? Kenny Öberg's deck is filled with answers.
Gets a second right at the end of the turn with his fetch land.
Takes a damage for doing it.
Yeah.
7 life left. 1 2/2 creature for Luis Scott-Vargas. And he's got a reasonable handful of cards, right?
Luis has, I think, 5 cards in hand.
I think Kenny's got a couple, too. He's got 4. Down comes Tezzeret. All right, what's the play? Goes straight to 1. Looks like Trinisphere.
He's going to go with a Trinisphere.
Just plays a 5. Looks like Tezzeret. Content to have Tezzeret be a 5-mana Trinisphere.
And a Fog.
Oh yeah, he does Fog. Fair.
I mean, he doesn't have to.
Trinisphere making it all but impossible for Luis to combo off. I think Luis is on a beatdown game plan now. Probably does have to finish off Tezzeret. Yep. So Kenny's got 7 life left. Oh, Viridian Shaman number 2. Down goes Trinisphere, and up goes the clock. There's 4 power worth of 2/2s over there. Kenny's only got 7 points of life left to play with. Really needs a board sweeper.
Cards.
As a look at Kenny's hand, oh, I see Venser and Thirst for Knowledge.
Venser, the star of our last extended Pro Tour.
It's true.
Thirst.
Looks like he's going to Thirst main phase. That's interesting.
What is he, Nassif?
Takes Venser out of play for this turn, but I guess he doesn't need it now.
I don't know about that.
The Thirst main phase?
Yeah, I think I would rather. Wouldn't you rather hold on to?
Venser mana? But he can do it next turn.
Sure,
I don't know. He doesn't really want to bounce his Shaman.
that's true.
I mean, block one, bounce the other. Sure, it's reasonably efficient, but bouncing Shaman is bad news. Rather have a different answer if you can come up with it and save that play to pick off 1/1s.
Obviously looking for a fire spout here.
Exactly. I mean, Chalice for 1 would be nice too. Luis has probably got a handful of 1-drops. Discards the Venser. Venser and Thirst are the 2 cards he discards there. Kept a Chrome Mox in his hand. Okay, because he's going to play it, removing a Thirst for Knowledge.
Kind of smells like fire spout.
For Trinket Mage. Huh. What does Trinket Mage get here? Engineered Explosives. Can he Explosives for 3?
He does have the possibility of exploding for 3 in his deck. I believe he has a.
Doesn't have it in play, though.
But he does not have it in play. I believe he has one. Yeah, he has 1 breeding pool.
Interesting. So he's discarded the Venser. Really wanted that Chrome Mox. Uh-oh. Glimpse from Nature. Luis is threatening to go
There's
off.
a Heritage Druid.
And there's Heritage Druid.
This is, I believe this is going to be game 2.
5 cards in hand. This should be good enough, right? Elves of Deep Shadow, drawing a card. Kind of wants a Nettle Sentinel, right? That's the missing piece.
It certainly is.
Right now, he's got 6 mana to play with already. So he should have all the mana that he needs.
Not attacking.
Eternal Witness.
Draws a card first. Gets back.
What does he get back? There's no Nettle Sentinels over there. There's Visionaries.
Glimpse of Nature. First.
Wait, how much mana does he have floating right now? Any?
I don't believe he has any floating, but he hasn't played a land this turn.
So he plays a mana, he can play a
Plays the
1
one, so he has
drop,
to
and
get
Heritage
back.
Druid is back.
Yeah.
He has to get back, I think the Birthstone Ranger or the Llanowar. Goes for Visionary. Did we misunderstand?
He probably hasn't. He probably has not.
Oh, if he hasn't landed an elf in his hand.
Yeah.
So there's land. Oh, past the turn. So Glimpse, not enough to go off, but certainly established a better board position. It's funny that Eternal Witness is another 3-drop. Explosives for 3 kills. Does he have lethal too? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I think he's got lethal damage if you to attack.
But this Trinket Mage is still there to block.
So Kenny can survive 1 more turn on offense, but he's also nervous about the combo going off. Okay, there's Engineered Explosives for 1.
He can also, if he
Kenny's playing.
thinks the combos come out, which is actually a possibility here.
Yep.
He can play Tesserator, go get Ensnaring Bridge, and move that in, and then Chrome Mox, but he's not doing that.
What does Ensnaring Bridge do? Luis wins with Grape Shot.
But Luis has been siding out his combo and just going beatdown in his sideboarded games a lot. Which if
You think he might get called to Ensnaring Bridge?
Possible. I mean, he still has Shamans.
Alright, well, Kenny played explosives for 1, left the rest of his mana up, and shipped the turn. Here's Elvish Visionary. Luis is building up a board position. No glimpse. Did he just ship the turn back?
I played the Visionary, drew a card. He's clearly going to attack.
Right. There's a lot of resources that went into that explosives for 1 for Kenny.
Yes.
3 mana from Heritage Druid. For Jite, there's 6 power untapped.
Okay. And he only gets the Heritage Druid if he explodes.
Eternal Witness picks up a Jite. And into the red zone, 6 power. Trinket Mage trades with the Eternal Witness. Jite gets 2 counters. Kenny takes 4 damage down to 3.
And Jite is going to get equipped the Shaman.
Yeah, Luis set up to win this game aggro. That glimpse last turn just let him rebuild his board. Undid all of the card advantage creature destruction that Kenny had done. Kind of a weird game the way this is played out. How many cards in Kenny's hand?
2.
So is Ensnaring Bridge legitimate here? I mean, if he can... I think I saw a Tezzeret.
I mean, I don't know if he
would it even be in the deck?
I don't know if he would have left it in.
No, Kenny scoops him up, so Luis Scott-Vargas has taken game 3.
Big roll from the Americans in the audience.
Yeah, Kenny Öberg still leads 2 games to 1. Does get to go first now, but Luis is on the board. What do you think of that Thirst for Knowledge play?
I'm just not sure. I like it. I mean, Venser does so many things for him there. I mean, it lets him, if he thinks he's going to be comboed out,
right.
he can disrupt the combo possibly by bouncing something.
Right.
He can counter a key spell. And if it's just the Shamans coming in for damage, he gets to bounce one and block the other.
Right.
I'm just not sure.
So on the one hand, there was a decision to Thirst main phase,
right?
Which it sounds like you question. You'd rather just leave up Venser and be able to foil an attack. Or play defense against a combo.
Sure, yes. I mean, I think you have both of those options if you just say go. Plus, you have the threat of Cryptic Command or any of your other hard counters.
I think I agree with you. I think you're supposed to say go and just Thirst end step. Now, that said, once he makes a decision to cast Thirst for Knowledge, now he's got interesting decisions, right? Because he can discard just a Chrome Mox and hold on to effectively Venser and 2 more Thirsts. But he's got 2 mana, he does nothing else with this turn. What he decided to do was play out the Chrome Mox in order to play out a Trinket Mage.
Right.
Discarding Venser and Thirst.
Right,
and removing a Thirst.
If he's digging for Fire Spout. Yeah.
You know, dig for Fire Spout is reasonable, but when he... I don't know, I just feel like there were a lot of resources that went into a Trinket Mage, which... Engineered Explosives is just not that good in that board position.
Right.
He can't Explosives for 3, which is the beatdown threat, is a pair of 3 drops. He can Explosives for 1 on the next turn, but all that does is break up combo. He's still got to deal with these 2/2s.
It's not clear that Luis wouldn't have won that game anyway, but I feel like he definitely was given a quicker window to win the game in.
I think I agree. I do wonder if he had Ensnaring Bridge in the deck.
I don't think
he must not have.
I don't think he did.
Certainly not a card you would think would be relevant. The way that game played out, the way Luis is playing this deck, it would have been great that game. He can Tezzeret for Ensnaring Bridge.
A lot of resources discarding 2, then Chrome Mox in. Because it didn't draw land. Yeah, like the tempo is too bad if you discard a Mox and go play it.
We're going to try to find out a little detail from the floor about exactly how these guys have sideboarded. See if Luis actually has left his combo in or taken it out in favor of just attacking with elves. You know, against Zoo, Luis would side out his combo every game.
Really?
And he would just bring in Mycalith.
Wow.
It sounds like that is the plan for Luis this match.
Huh. between this sinner on the back table, between threads of disloyalty and sower of temptation, he's got more elves than Zatlkaj does. Sinner up a game there, hoping to go up 2-0. Thaler and Juza, it is 122 to 165.
Do they know which direction they're supposed to be going in?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
The object is to get the other guy's life total to 1,000, right? Isn't that how you win Magic?
I think that's one of the. I think if you look on the back of the Tezzeret badge, that's one of the conditions on the road.
Is it? They've got all these accomplishments you can get around the Pro Tour. So if you don't know what we're talking about at home, there's a Planeswalker's Guide to the Pro Tour, Path to the Pro Tour promotion going on. So when you show up to the Pro Tour for public events, you get a badge, and it's got 20 sort of achievements or accomplishments that you can do. You know, play in a standard public event, play in a sealed public event. But then there's some tricky ones, like control a creature with 20 or more power, deal 20 points of damage in a turn.
Tricky? These ones are tricky?
Harder to achieve, more impressive if you get the stamp. So, you know, you have 10 or more cards in hand, you call over the judge, you get your badge stamped. Say, yeah, control 2 or more Planeswalkers is on the list. They do not have commentate on the Pro Tour Top 8 on here, but they do have Win Pro Tour Berlin.
I have.
So that stamp will be given out precisely once.
I have taken a demo of Duels of the Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I do not believe I've defeated a gunslinger in a game of Magic, since the only gunslinger I've played is Mike Turian.
He's hard to beat.
And I haven't beaten him all weekend.
There's been a lot of drafting going on at the bar after the Pro Tour involving Mike Turian.
Sadly, I have had one of each basic land type in play. In limited.
Yes, you have.
I can't do number 20, though.
Nope, Win Pro Tour Berlin is a tough one. How did we get off on that? Oh, have 100 life.
Yes.
Get to 100 life, not on the badge. Maybe it will be for Worlds. Promotion's going to be going on at Worlds as well, so tons and tons of public events there if you want to come to Memphis in December. All right. Öberg dealing out 6 cards for himself. Had to mulligan in Game 3. Looks like he's been forced to mulligan again here in Game 4. And he doesn't seem to know this, but he's not actually playing against a combo deck. Scott-Vargas has said, you know what? There's too much hate for my combo on the other side of the table. I am an elf beatdown deck. Grape Shot is...
Oh, sounds like we're going to 5.
Yeah. Grape Shot is in the sideboard. Jite is in the main. Luis looking a little happier. Smiling, chatting a little bit.
Thaler? Yeah. I kept a 4-card no land hand.
1 land out of 6 cards for Öberg, and he's headed down to 5.
That's one of the nice things about the elf deck is I don't think it mulligans very often.
No, it certainly doesn't need very many lands.
I mean, basically you mulligan the no land hand or the all land hand.
No, it's something that's, I think, a little underrated in terms of deck building. Like, when you can build a deck that can keep 1-landers, it's actually a gigantic advantage. I mean, it feels subtle. It's hard to really feel great about that, but you just mulligan significantly less when your deck is built around 1-drops. You know, you look at, I remember the first time I really saw this lesson in play with PTLA when it was Tempest Block. You know, the red deck that David Price won with. Just like, you know, between Jackal Pups and Mog Fanatics, you could really just keep 1 land.
Oh, and if
land hand.
And if he had 2 land, he was attacking you 4 on turn 2, and he was pretty happy if he didn't play another land for a while.
Right. So, you know, a lot of decks hit the sweet spot at sort of 2 or 3. That's how most Magic decks work, but...
Öberg's deck is not that deck.
No, Öberg needs much more mana, and you see it coming into play
And
here.
not only does he need more mana, he needs specific... You know, I need blue and red mana. Oh, no.
Shakes his head. Going down to 4. Predator Dragon has been sighted in the Tomoharu Saito match. Predator Dragon leads Mirror Entity 2-0 at this point. Saito, the reigning player of the year, trying to get back into the player of the year race. Saito is up 2-0 now on Jan Doise.
By the way, we were talking about Pro Tour Top 8 appearances. Tomoharu Saito, this is his 5th Pro Tour Top 8 appearance.
Yeah.
Right? That's Hall of Fame territory. I call that's like 3,000 hits in baseball to me.
Sure. Now, I mean, we've talked about LSV, Martin Juza, and Thaler as the up-and-comers, right? Awesome, talented Magic players are really starting to come into their own, but the superstar that is playing today is clearly Tomoharu Saito. He's the reigning player of the year. He's the only Pro Tour champion in this top 8. He got the win back at Charleston. He's in top 8, number 5. You know, a win here, and he's right on Shuhei Nakamura's heels in the Player of the Year race.
I think he's within 7 or 8 points. If he wins.
Oh, we talked about Denis Sinner controlling all the elves, but Zatlkaj puts his combo together and goes off to even that get one at a game apiece.
Are these the 4 cards Kenny Öberg is looking for?
He doesn't look real happy about them. Yeah, it's got to be. Land, engineered explosives. 3 lands and an explosives. You keep that draw at 4. Luis plays Elves of Deep Shadow.
We're almost at 500 total life in the Thaler Juza matchup. I think I see Big Mike. I see the Microlith.
Glimpse from Luis, which is just a pure card advantage play. Nettle Sentinel draws a card.
Yeah, just cycled.
Oh, he just cycled it. Funny.
It was a lonely sandbar.
Pair of 1 drops, so explosives for 1 is worth doing here, right?
Hearing people talk about the elf deck, they said if you don't fire spout or explosives away,
He says go? Why did he say go? He's slow rolling explosives?
I think he's hoping that Luis will overcommit to the board. Or maybe he's figured out that the combo is not there and that's not Luis's plan.
Huh.
Oh, he had Vidillion.
Oh, he had click, so he's going to... Okay, fair enough.
You want to see what he's up against?
What am I up against? You are up against... He's Big Mike, the Michaeloth. Summoner's Pact, Viridian Shaman, and Heritage Druid. So, what's the play?
I think he's going to take away the... He's got to take away the Michael.
I think he does. Michaeloth
Michael just comes online next turn.
Isn't it 5 mana?
Yes, he plays 1 mana, plays Heritage Druid.
Oh, Heritage Druid.
Taps 3 elves, and that plays Michaelith. Untaps Nettle Sentinel and even gets in for 2.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of Michaeloth. Hilarious. Yeah. Michaeloth, 5 mana, Devour 2, picks up a bunch of counters and just starts churning out tokens. He's effectively Verdant Force.
Yeah.
Except faster and bigger, potentially.
Luis has said he usually just sacrifices 2 creatures to it.
Sure.
Ends up with an 8/8.
8/8 with 4 tokens a turn is good enough.
Yeah. He didn't really feel... He thought anything more than that would be gauche.
Luis declines to attack. Don't you send Nettle Sentinel in there?
I guess maybe...
Trade it for the 3/1 flyer?
Maybe he was waiting for Kenny to attack first.
Seems surprising to me. The fact that there's removal spells, like Engineered Explosives for 1, for example, I think I'd be willing to trade that. I mean, Luis is playing a beatdown game.
Unless he sided the combo back in this game.
Alright, there is Explosives for 1.
Yep.
And Kenny ships the turn.
Yeah, but if you think he has explosives, you attack because he's not going to trade his Vidillion click for...
Right.
Yeah.
Luis attacks for 3. Kenny can either take it or blow them up with the explosives, and looks like he's going to take the damage. Prefers to keep the threat of blowing up more elves to slow Luis down, prevent him.
Well, he's winning the race, right?
Yeah. Here comes Heritage Druid and Jitte.
2 words you didn't think you'd be saying together.
No. Heritage Druids picks up Umezawa Jitte and attacks. Not the way I thought this game was going to play out, but that's why Luis is sitting there and we're sitting here.
Like I said, he was working with Paul Cheon last night.
Fire Spout. Trades 1 Fire Spout for 1 Heritage Druid. I like that play.
And keeps coming with the click.
Yeah, exactly. Keeps coming with the click, prevents the Jitte from coming online. Basically has to kill everything or his click and his clock go away.
Vidalian Clock.
Vidalian Clock, there you go.
Alright, for a 4-carder.
Luis has Shaman in his hand too, he can't play it. Only artifact target is the Jitte.
Yeah.
Is that the only creature he's got left?
Looks like he actually has a handful of lands.
He's got a Summoner's Pact, that's what we saw. Looks like he is gonna Summoner's Pact. What do you get here?
He gets Big Mike.
Just as a 4/4? Right, he goes land. Yeah. Dirkwood Boars has entered into play, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Extended's all about, right? 3/1 flyers and Dirkwood Boars.
3/1 flyers I'll buy.
Then suddenly we're playing sealed deck. You get your Ghost Ship against your Dirkwood Boars. Not Ghost Ship, whatever. Rashad's Airship.
Sure. Cloud Elemental or whatever he was.
Go.
So Kenny attacks with his 3/1 flyer. Luis has a vanilla 4/4 that could have been a lot of other things. Does remember to pay for Summoner's Pact. Oh, 6 land for the Jitte. So, yeah. Sealed deck, you know, Jitte's pretty good and limited, right? Couple of counters and 4 damage.
I mean, let's be real.
Down goes
counter.
the 3/1 flyer.
Yeah, 1 counter.
Thirst for knowledge. What does Kenny do against a 4/4 holding a Jitte?
I mean, he has Fencer, he has Cryptic Commands. I mean, he can bounce it at end of turn, counter it. Ensnaring Bridge, if he brought it back in.
I don't think he brought the Staring Bridge back in.
I wonder if he'll figure that out by game 5.
Yeah, he's lost.
Now that he's looking at the Mycolith. Pump the Mycolith, put 2 counters on the Jitte.
Uh-huh. 6 damage. Kenny is at... Board shows 14, but I think it's lower than that. Yeah, 8. There you go. So, Luis is threatening lethal next turn.
Visionary and Nettle Sentinel. Moves the Jitte
Sure.
over. Makes sense.
Alright, can you deal with my 4/4? Okay, can you also deal with my 1/1 holding a Jitte?
It's a 2/2 holding a Jitte.
2/2 holding a Jitte.
Yeah, it's 2 4/4s. Or 6/6. 10, 11. Yeah, that's more than lethal next turn. I mean, that's a pretty good fight from Öberg considering it was a 4-card hand.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
4-card hand on the play.
Yes. It looked like he was in it. I mean, till Summoner's Pact for Michael, it looked like... I forgot it was a 4-card draw. Kenny was totally in it. Riptide Laboratory.
So now he's got, he can create a situation where if he has, say, a Venture or something like that, he can...
Shackles. How many islands? He's got 4 islands, doesn't he? Does he have to crack fetch land to get it? I see.
So,
Yeah.
Takes the Mycolith.
Should wait for it to untap, though, right?
Yep.
All right, Vidalcan Shackles from Kenny Öberg. That stayed in there. Huh. So Kenny's got Vidalcan Shackles. He does have 4 islands. He's only got 7 points of life left because he had to crack that fetch land. He's looking over at a Nettle Sentinel holding a Jitte, a Mycoloth that's just a vanilla 4/4, and Elves of Deep Shadow. There's also a Pendelhaven on Luis's side of the board. Glimpse from Nature, which is basically just a card advantage play. Glimpse of Nature. There's Viridian Shaman. Right, we've known he's had that the whole time.
Draw a card first.
Draw a card first.
Then kill your shackles.
Targets the shackles. You steal something to turn Summoning Sickness on, right? Oh, he stifles the Viridian Shaman. Wow. I wasn't even expecting Stifle to still be in his deck.
Yeah.
Stifles the Viridian Shaman come into playability. Wow, Kenny was 3 steps ahead there. That's awesome.
Originally, his plan was to take those Stifles out, but
I guess it sounds like he took one out, but Stifle, I don't know that changes everything. Luis is slowed in his tracks, staring, going, okay, now what do I do? I thought I had an answer. I do not have an answer. I have a 2/2, and now you've got my 4/4. He attacks into it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a choice. He's got to just plow through it, but then the Shackles is going to get reused. So Luis sends Elves of Deep Shadow into the red zone, along with the Nettle Sentinel holding a Jite on, is it 2 counters? 2 counters.
I don't know if he's going to kill the Michaelis. He might just let the Nettle Sentinel die, pump the Visionary,
and then he's
put
got
2
4
counters on the
counters.
Jite. No, he'll pump the Jite and then put 2 counters on. Oh.
All right. Michaeloth is going to pick off Elves of Deep Shadow. So Luis...
So the Michaelis can't die to the Jite here.
Yeah. Oh, it's an Elvis Visionary, my bad. So Visionary is going to die.
Maybe. I mean, he could pump the Visionary. I don't believe he will.
Should take it's anybody +2/+2?
No, maybe
Oh, Pendelhaven can...
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pendelhaven.
But that doesn't... Michaeloth is going to kill the Visionary. Nettle Sentinel can deal as much as 6 damage.
Anyone
here.
-1/-1.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess Pendelhaven and 2 counters would keep the Visionary alive, in theory.
Yeah.
So Luis is going to pump the Visionary and do -2/-2. So that's going to kill Michaeloth. Keeps Visionary alive.
Yeah, there we go.
2 more counters. So 2 damage. It's interesting. He could have put Kenny at 1. He declined the option to put Kenny at 1. I think I would have put Kenny at 1 there, but it's tricky. You put Kenny at 1, you've got multiple attackers left.
You got 2 attackers. You still have your...
But he says no, Kenny's at 5. Problem is, Kenny gets to untap his Vidalcan Shackles, steal something again.
Right, but if he steals Nettle Sentinel, it won't untap.
Sure.
And he can't steal Shaman because he can make it bigger. He doesn't have enough.
Oh, interesting.
He only has 4 islands, I believe. So...
It's been a great game for a 4-card mulligan from Öberg, that's for sure. Kenny Öberg leads this match 2-1. He just challenged for 1, came out in a hurry in both Game 1 and Game 2. But Luis Scott-Vargas, who was taking his combo deck and turned it into just an aggro Elves build, has taken Game 3, threatening to take Game 4. Kenny's now got a Vidalcan Shackles, making his life pretty miserable. So over in the Juza Thaler matchup, they're still in Game 1. It's 313 to 300 and a little bit more. But Predator Dragon has come into play for Sebastian Thaler, and he is calculating quite how big to make it. I mean, those life totals go up, but Predator Dragon is going to have triple-digit power. Might take it a couple of attacks, but those life totals are still vulnerable to giant Predator Dragons.
Chalice for 1. Okay.
Chalice of the Void for 1, says Kenny Öberg. All right. Kenny has Vidalcan Shackles and the ability to steal a creature. Luis...
He probably cannot steal the Shaman.
Right.
He has to take the...
He has to take the Visionary. Because the Jite can make the Shaman too big. Luis is going to ping off the Visionary with a Jite counter. Shaman gets through.
He's going to get in for 4.
Yep, presumably he's going to get in for 4 and get 2 more counters, putting Kenny at 1. Yes.
How much 1?
Now, what does Kenny Öberg do?
Like fire spout and then shackles.
Yeah, Jite has been
Maybe
awesome.
Maybe a well-drawn ancient grudge. Unless he has something, he's just cold here.
Yep, can't steal the shaman because of the Jite counters. Nettle Sentinel hangs out untapped. Yeah.
Luis is gonna do
Nope, there it is. Luis Scott-Vargas sends us to game number 5.
with Elf beat down.
Yeah. Elf Jite beatdown. Better than Rashad and Airship. Jite's a good card in Limited. On the back table, another update for you. Denis Sinner has taken a 2-1 lead against Matej Zatlkaj.
So just so we're clear, 4, 6, 9 games completed at 3 tables.
Yeah, Öberg and Luis Scott-Vargas are 2 apiece, shuffling up for game 5. Kenny will get to play first. Kenny hopes to hope that he gets to keep 7 cards. He has not had a 7-card keeper since game 2.
I'm a little disappointed.
Sebastian Thaler's Dragon, drum roll please, 278, 278. Oh, and now they're shuffling up for game 2. So 278, 278 took multiple attack phases, but good enough to get the job done. And Sebastian Thaler takes a 1-0 lead over his buddy Martin Juza.
Untap my 278, 278 Dragon. It's not something you expect to do.
All right, so Thaler up a game against Juza, and those matches should be a little more interactive after sideboarding. Or as Pontiffs come in, they can get chords. They're not going to get the hundreds of creatures in play that they had that game. Now, speaking of Orzhov Pontiff, Jan Doise has already gotten his against Saito, wiped out Saito's board, and Doise looks likely to take game 3 of that matchup. Still will be down 2-1, but
yeah,
should get onto the scoreboard. He's looks to be in control thanks to his own Orzhov Pontiff. Yeah, Orzhov Pontiff's a pretty interesting story, right? Thursday at the Pro Tour, at the beginning of the day, I think was it the Belgians that found it first, right?
Yes.
It was the Belgians, Jan Doise's crowd, Bernley Bear.
Although apparently the Japanese did arrive at an independent.
Okay, so the rumor running around is that one Belgian player was seen purchasing an Orzhov Pontiff from a dealer, and that from there the rumor spread like wildfire. People figured out, oh, you gored for it. That's how you win the Elf Mirror matchup. And suddenly by the end of the day, Orzhov Pontiff was like a $20 card.
Interesting. So many interesting cards. I wonder, Voidstone Gargoyle, Carfiend.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder which ones these guys have brought in to sort of fight each other. Even Gadget Teague, if you could see shutting off your opponent's chords.
We'll find out.
They'll
But first,
still be playing.
yeah, no, I want to see what happens here. I mean, this is really a lot. I feel like the moral soul of the Pro Tour is on the line here somehow. The Tesserator is such a cool deck. The Shards of Alara Planeswalker, the guy that's on the badges that everybody's accumulating achievements on. The rogue deck builder that comes out of Sweden with his crazy idea. It actually works out perfectly this time. Versus the scourge of the Pro Tour, the dirty combo deck. Luis is definitely the dirty combo deck version. I'll give Thaler and Juza a pass, right? Predator Dragon is cool. 278 Predator Dragon, that's cool. Grape Shot, less cool.
Storm in Elves, not so exciting.
Although, to Luis's credit, the deck he's playing after sideboarding is even a combo deck, right?
It's just sort of a worse version of the Hollywood Elf decks without removal and with Jite.
Yeah, but at some level, it's like a better Zoo. It's like Zoo with card advantage so that it doesn't die to mass removal.
Right. Right, that was very interesting to see him do that with the glimpses. He was like, okay, I'm going to play 2 guys this turn. I might as well glimpse and get something back for those 2 guys because I know he's going to kill them.
Right. Oh, is that another mulligan? Wow. Kenny Öberg mulligans for the fifth time across these last 3 games. The old solitaire shuffle. Wow, he can't be feeling good about that. Sarah looks on over the festivities.
Yeah, but this is something we talked about in the middle of the match. Again, you know, it's a deck with some very intensive mana requirements, some very specific colored mana requirements.
Yeah, at some level, he's on the wrong side of the threat versus answers equation. Right? He's obliged to answer every threat that the opponent puts out.
A little prayer from Luis. Go to 4 again.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 cards for the soul of the Pro Tour. He's looking him over. He's taking his time. He's got his brow in his hand. Doesn't look happy. But he keeps.
And Luis goes down to 6. Martin usage. Looks like he needs a break. Wanders off. We've played 1 game. That's enough. I gotta go find a rest. Over on the left, you see Tomoharu Saito versus Doise. In the back, it's Sinner and Zatlkaj shuffling up for game 4.
What kind of hands do you think you mulligan with if you're Luis?
Well, clearly 0 land.
Right.
Not sure what else.
I mean, do you mulligan a 3-land hand? Or a 4-land hand?
4 land, you've got to think. I think 4 land, you probably mulligan. I don't think you mulligan 3. Not unless. I mean, if I can also imagine a hand that's like a bunch of Viridian Shamans and Jittes and just no pressure.
Right.
3 land, no 1-drop, I might mulligan.
Alright, we're off and running. 6 cards apiece.
6 cards apiece. Kenny Öberg leads with an island. Llanowar Elf from Luis.
A beautiful, beautiful beta.
Beta Llanowar Elf, it's true. And he's got the Ice Age Snow-Covered Forests in play, too. This draw brought to you by the year 1995.
Won ya.
It's funny, I could see Luis had another elf in his hand. He chose not to play it. Doesn't want to overcommit and get explosives down.
Well, I think the plan is to, build up his Jitte, get in, and just get in for 4 or 5 with a guy each turn.
Sure. Island, island, island from Öberg. Yeah, Jitte is annoying for Kenny to deal with. Doise does indeed take game 3 from Saito. Comboed out, so Saito's up 2 games to 1 now. Get a look at Kenny's hand. I do see an explosives. Also see a Trinket Mage, a Chrome Mox, and a Vidalcan Shackles. That Shackles could take over the game if it wasn't for Jitte.
Right.
But the Jitte hurts. So there's Trinket Mage as the play Kenny elects.
We could see.
Is this great? Does he go get Great Furnace?
Pithing Needle on Jitte.
Well, Pithing Needle's not bad. I don't think he's got any red mana, though. I mean, Great Furnace has got to be tempting. And then he can explosives for 2 to get to Jitte. Eyeballing the Needle at the moment.
I mean, we just talked about how sort of defining that Jite was in terms of his ability to shackle and
No, it's true. It's just
on the board.
Pithing Needle as an answer is vulnerable to Shaman coming back and killing it.
Sure. And he just tucked it back down into his deck.
Yeah, I might go. I think Great Furnace. I
There
like
you
that
go.
play. Goes and gets Great Furnace. Now he can Explosives for 2. Probably trade Trinket Mage for Elf and a counter, and then Explosives for 2, something like that.
Sure. Sees what Luis does on his turn.
No, Elf picks up the Jite. Trinket Mage does indeed block.
Of course, that's what I presumed.
1 counter on the Jite sitting there, and Luis plays another Elf. So Kenny's got a Great Furnace in his hand that he just got with Trinket Mage. We expect to see that. Probably followed by Explosives for 2. Well, there's Pyrite Spellbomb. And he nails the Elf. Interesting. Would you nail the Elf there? I might wait to make him spend mana to put the Jite on it. He denied him the ability to tap the Elf for mana. Oh, there is...
Checks to make sure it doesn't say non.
Oh, it gets the Great Furnace.
I was going to say that anything he gets is vulnerable to the Shaman.
Wow.
Here comes Shackles.
Yeah, but the Jite, he chose to Pyrite Spellbomb the Elf instead. If he could have done the Explosives for 2 to deal with the Jite.
17.
Now, how does he... Now it's 3 counters on the Jite. I guess he just needs to draw red mana into Explosives for 2. I don't know about picking off the Elf there. 4 islands, so this will cost him 2 Jite counters. Seems like the right play to force him to use them. Still all blue mana for Kenny.
He just put a marker on top of his deck. He has some upkeep effect. He's going to want to...
Well, he wants to think about the Shackles, probably.
Yeah.
He's trying to remind himself to untap the Shackles. Luis's hand is Summoner's Pact.
Which is going to go get a Viridian Shaman.
Yes. Viridian Shaman, down goes Shackles.
I think it's just amazing how Luis has just transformed this matchup into something other than what
I'm impressed.
anyone thought it was going to be.
I am very impressed by Luis Scott-Vargas right now. Pen on top of his library to make sure he remembers to pay for Summoner's Pact.
I heard at least one story of someone who had the counter on top of their library who just said,
What is this for?
here
It can't go away.
Birchlaw Rangers.
Luis Scott-Vargas is really going to come back and win this with an aggro Elves beatdown deck. He's just Jite against the Tesserator. Ether Spellbomb for Kenny Öberg. He does have Engineering Explosives in his hand, which could deal with the Jite, but he's got no red mana.
And not a ton of time.
Looks like a couple of Chrome Moxes as well.
So it sounds like the break Martin Juza had to get up was not a bathroom break,
Yeah?
but a travel agent break.
He has to rebook his flight home. Yep. Spellbomb bounces the Shaman that was holding the Jite. Makes sense.
And sort of negates the Shaman for the time being. He's not
Yes.
going to replay it.
No more Jite counters. Takes 3 damage. Can't be happy to be bouncing a Shaman, but you do what you gotta do. There's the Flooded Strand. Cracks it, takes a damage, finally he's going to have to take 3 damage to get that red into play on tap. Explosives for 2. Pass the turn.
Four.
Scott-Vargas attacks for 3. Shaman and Birchlow Ranger get in there.
Therefore, oh, Michaelif.
Oh, Michaelif. Wow. What does Kenny Öberg do now?
Hello, Jamie Wakefield.
Really, he needs... I have no idea how he gets out of this.
And he devours 1.
Yeah, devours 1, so it's a 6-6. In theory, he could land Shackles to steal it.
24.
So Explosives blows up the Jite. Yeah, he has to go land Shackles and steal the 6-6. But I don't think he's got that. There it is. There's the handshake.
Oh my gosh.
Luis Scott-Vargas.
Utterly
3
demolished in the
games to
first
2.
2 games.
He did. He played about 1 turn of Magic in the first couple of games and comes back from 0-2 down to go win, win, win. Turns his combo deck into Jite aggro. Wow.
Patrick Chapin, Manuel Boucher, and Paul Cheon go running past the booth to go up and congratulate their teammate. Sounds like we're gonna check in on 5-time Pro Tour top 8 player Tomoharu Saito.
Yes, the reigning player of the year, currently leads Jan Doise 2-1.
Trying to make a case for back-to-back player of the year titles.
Yeah, no, he puts up a bunch of points here, and Shuhei Nakamura is definitely going to be feeling the pressure at Worlds. Shuhei could have all but clinched here. He was in contention throughout most of this tournament. Finished up in 44th place. He went 10-6.
Right. Olivier Ruel finished just ahead of him in 42nd, so Olivier closed no ground on him either.
Right. But Shuhei was at the top of the Swiss for a long time. A big total here could have really run things away. But yeah, Saito, reigning player of the year. First big result for him this weekend. I mean, we'll see. 12 points for top 8, that's one thing, but 25 for the win would be completely different. Jan's gonna mulligan.
Jan is a former Belgian national champion, going back to 2002. And this is his first PT top 8. He has 3 GP top 8s before this.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. First Pro Tour top 8, but he's Belgian national champion in 2002.
2002, yeah. He prepared for this tournament with the whole Belgian crew that we talked about.
Yeah, he qualified on pro points. So.
He also worked with Frank Karsten and Zach Hill.
Okay. Yeah, Zach Hill is just a Belgian somehow. How does that happen?
Bill Stark is also randomly a Belgian.
Yeah, coverage guy Bill Stark and he and Zach just hang out with the Belgians for some reason. It's a pretty smart group of guys. Like, we talked about Marin a number of times.
Right.
Seems like he's sort of the center of the group, but there's Fried Mulders is in with those guys. Christophe Gregoire. It's a really small country too, so I'm sure they did get together. I wonder how many PTQs a country like Belgium actually has. You just take every PTQ winner under your wing. There can't be more than a couple. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when you're at a local, almost like sort of a local store scene. If you have one player who's really great there, someone else qualifies for the PTQ, they get to work with them. Actually, this year's national champ Pascal Vieira is also someone who, is the driver behind the mirror entity in this deck.
Oh, sure. All right, Saito starts off. Looks like a symbiote.
So this is Predator Dragon versus mirror entity, right?
Yep.
That's our battle. So Grapeshot Elves has advanced.
Yes.
It has passed its first test.
True. Wasn't really Grapeshot Elves for 4 of the 5 games, but
the
Fair
build
enough.
known as Grape Shot Elves.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see which of these elf stacks sort of establishes dominance over the
True.
resulting extended metagame.
I mean, here Jan's got the Mirror Entity version. Saito is with Predator Dragon. Jan's got Llanowar Elves versus Saito's Symbiote.
You and I saw these players. Oh no, we saw him play Juza actually. We didn't see Saito play Doise. But both players have Pontiffs. Interestingly,
Symbiote heads into the attack, right? Into the red zone, attacking for Saito.
Doise actually has more Pontiffs.
Yeah, it's true. And Visionary from Saito lets him draw a card. Oh, on the back table, Matej Zatlkaj equalizes at 2 games apiece, so they are headed for Game 5 now. Sounds like the German Fairies deck player, Denis Sinner, had some mulligans in Game 4.
So now, how do you like the synergy between Symbiote and Visionary?
I think it is essential to the core of this deck. Like, people talk about, oh, it's all about the untap, it's all about Nettle Sentinel. I'm like, you can do a lot with just a Symbiote and a Visionary. You know, Symbiote, it's untapping things, it's got like the Nettle Sentinel. It's kind of like the Symbiote is the backup plan for Nettle Sentinel, and it's the backup plan for Glimpse from Nature.
Right, absolutely.
It's a really powerful card.
There is a Hive Master for Doise. Not an elf. Oh, it is an elf. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the symbiote's the insect.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the Hive Master makes insects. And the fact that it sees your opponent's elves means that, you know, you look at Jan Doise's board right now, he looks pretty helpless, right? 2 tapped lands, tapped Llanowar Elf, untapped Hive Master. But if Tomoharu Saito combos off right here, he's going to be playing enough elves that all of a sudden there's 9 insects on Jan's side of the table. He can tap them for a Chord of Calling out of nowhere, bring into play, you know, Orzhov Pontiff to bust up the combo, bring into play mostly the Pontiff. I don't know if he's got other instant speed effects, but from that board position, Jan is actually threatening to bust up the combo in the middle.
Right. He's
Really powerful.
Yeah, the cards he can really bring out in this are Regal Force to draw a ton of cards, and then the Orzhov Pontiffs, which he has 2 of.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that's huge. Your opponent's going off; they think they're in this dominant position, and you're like,
Right. This is why I still, all props to LSV for finding ways to win, but I think Hive Master Chord of Calling is just worth playing for situations like this. Like, Luis's deck is a little faster, and maybe it's a little easier. I think you could take this version and play it aggro if you wanted to. But just that Hive Master Chord engine seems so powerful, including the mirror. I don't know how much Luis expected to play the mirror, so I may have just said, whatever, mirrors are random. But if one guy's got Hive Master Chord in the mirror and the other one doesn't, I feel like a giant edge for the Hive Master Chord of Calling player.
again, Luis can ignore all that. He can say, fine, you popped up away my board.
Right.
But I'm just going to grape shot you.
Martin Juza has equalized at 1-1.
Although that game went a lot more briskly.
Yes.
2 Wirewood Symbiotes for Tomoharu Saito. We actually have not seen
the elf combo.
All the combos happened off camera so far.
It's interesting that Saito declined the opportunity to return Visionary and replay Visionary. Left up 2 mana instead.
We have a Chord for 2. By not doing that, he's representing Chord for 2, but I can't see
Chord for 2 doesn't do anything.
Doesn't what that does, yeah.
I mean, it's only, he can't chord for 1 either. I mean, he's chord for 1, but I don't know that chord for 1 gets anything here. I mean, he can get any random elf.
Right. Now, does Saito go to his little, one of the interesting cards in Saito's deck that's not in the other elf decks, it's peculiar to the Japanese list, I believe.
Second Hive Master comes down for Jan Doise.
Is Blasting Station.
Right.
So I wonder if does he bring that combo in this matchup?
I would think so.
So the reason he didn't play the Visionary is I guess he just didn't want to give more he didn't want to give more insects and more chord mana to Doise.
Maybe.
3 cost.
And he definitely won't be doing it now.
Drawing cards is nice, though. The opponent's gonna get a bunch of insects.
Yeah, Saito doesn't return. He could have returned Visionary there at the end of the turn. Oh,
3.
he is hoarding.
Yep. Okay. Is this end step, or did he untap?
It looked like he had untapped.
Well, if he wanted for 6, then he had to.
This is the Pontiff.
Yep. Untaps and chord for 3. Pontiff will wipe out, use his entire team.
It didn't sack 2 Hive Masters at Lattimore. And that's really the beauty of the chord version versus the Weird Harvest version.
Yes.
Draw. Yep.
Okay. Saito has wiped out Jan's board. Presumably he has to shift the turn now.
He did that on upkeep, lest he draw the Pontiff.
Funny. Makes sense.
Yeah, we saw that happen to him in one game where he drew the Pontiff and it cost him the match against Juza.
Yeah, he was actually able to play it off of a Birchlore Ranger eventually.
Yeah.
He could generate a black, generate a white, but he was unable to chord for it at instant speed 2 turns earlier in the game, which did absolutely cost him the game. So Saito has Orzhov Pontiff, a couple of Symbiotes, and an Elvish Visionary. He's also got 4 land in play. Jan Doise has just the 3 lands. Certainly hitting the point where either player could just go off and win. Jan, if he can stitch everything together, knows there are no Pontiffs left in Saito's deck. Right? The Pontiff has happened. Will not happen again, barring Haunt and something somehow dying.
Would you play the second Hive Master? Would you consider holding it back unless maybe he has the third?
I mean, Jan is... I think he wants to bait the Hive Master. Or bait out the Pontiff. Like, I don't know how much is left in Jan's hand,
But it looks like a Summoner's Pact. Jan is perilously close to going off.
Yeah, that Hive Master looks to me like baiting the Pontiff. Right. Now he's got Summoner's Pact. Sounds like his hand includes another Summoner's Pact.
Another one again?
And a Glimpse.
Let's get to Nettle Sentinel.
Makes sense.
Oh, okay.
So plays a second Summoner's Pact.
Depends.
Well, he has to think he's winning this turn.
Yeah. That's 8 mana, so he better win it now. Saito has no way to break this up. This is solitaire magic. Jan Doise is either going to go off now or he's going to die to his Summoner's Pact on his next turn.
I mean, theoretically, he could make 8 mana with his Heritage Druid, but... no, he
Glimpse
can't.
of Nature? We shall see. Here is Nettle Sentinel. Draw a card. Here is Heritage Druid. Draw a card. Here is some other elf.
One would hope.
Go.
In order to pay for 2 Summoners packs, he has to have 6 elves in play. He said go? He's dead, right?
Sure.
He just fizzle and die? I don't know how he pays for 2 Summoners packs.
He can't. He was obviously hoping he would just...
He had to go for it there. I mean, I think he's got to be scared of Saito's hand. Doesn't Saito just say go?
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, I guess...
I'm looking...
What are we missing? There's no way he could possibly pay... Like, Court of Calling could instant speed fetch... What? Platinum Angel? No.
Get a mirror entity. He can't even...
I think that's what Saito's trying to figure out. Yeah, it sure looks like...
I think he was just hoping he would draw into...
No, I mean, I think it's reasonable to go for it there. You've got Glimpse. If your hand is Glimpse, Summoner's Pack.
He's not under tremendous pressure. But I guess he feels like...
What is pressure? His opponent's got...
His opponent could just come out of nowhere.
Visionary, Symbiote.
Sure. He's only under implied pressure.
If your hand... So, you look at Doise's hand is Summoner's Pack, Glimpse from Nature. What are you going to do? What are you waiting for? It's not like your odds are going to get better. You're going to, like, just hope to top deck elves to be a little more redundant?
Maybe a third elf.
No, I think you're supposed to... Yeah, pack for Sentinel, pack for... I mean, you could have gotten Virtual Ranger instead of Heritage Druid.
Right. But it doesn't matter. He still needs to draw an elf there.
Yeah, pretty much. He's got to draw an elf off a couple of Glimpse draws. His deck is 50% elves, so...
Looks like Saito's deciding not to just say go.
Right, so there's Blasting Station. And ships the turn. And there's the handshake! Summoner's Pack! Death by Summoner's Pack. Doise went for it. The combo fizzled. 2 draws off the top, no elves, and Tomoharu Saito advances to the semifinals where he takes on Luis Scott-Vargas.
Wow.
How's that for a stunner of a semifinal matchup?
That's a heavyweight bout. That is...
Heavyweight bout. Reigning Player of the Year Tomoharu Saito versus, Luis Scott-Vargas, who's, widely respected as one of the best players in the game right now, no question about it. Saito with his elves, Vargas with his... Now let's go sort out what's going on the other side of the bracket. We're going to check in on Game 5 between Denis Sinner and Matej Zatlkaj. They are tied at 2 games apiece. Sinner is running a Fairies deck. We joined the game already in progress. Fairies against Elves. Zatlkaj is on the right of your screen. He's got a couple of Hive Masters, 1 Insect Token, and a Llanowar Elf. Spellstutter Sprite and Bitter Blossom for Denis Sinner, 1 Fairy Rogue token in play.
This was a terrific matchup for Sinner in this tournament.
Sinner chose to play Fairies specifically because he expected a bunch of Elf decks and believed that he was advantaged against them.
He went 4-2-1 on the weekend against Elves, the draw coming in the last round.
Sure.
He also lost to the Tesserator.
Do we know how many Fairies decks Zatlkaj played?
Well, yes, we do. Matej Zatlkaj did not play Fairies or Tesserator.
Can I get the overhead back on my big monitor, please?
Yeah. Zatlkaj did not play Fairies at all in this tournament.
Huh. Holds out Heritage Druid tentatively. May I please have a Heritage Druid, sir? Yes, you can. Well, that'll bring 2 insects with it, thanks to the Hive Master. Looks like no 3rd land for Denis Sinner. It's clear it's turn 4, and there's only 2 lands for the Fairies deck. Spellstutter Sprite, clearly a threat here. What else?
I mean, there's Mana Leak. Counter spells in Sinner's deck include Spell Snare, Remand, Mana Leak, plays a Smother.
Looks like tapping 5 for Court of Calling. Is that Court for 2?
leaving mana leak mana open.
Where does he get off court for 2? What's the silver bullet hate for the fairies deck?
Checking. An Aethersworn Canonist? No.
Sinner thinking about it.
Wirewood Hivemaster, Wirewood Symbiote.
Well, it's going to resolve, so we'll find out what Matej Zatlkaj's got in mind. It looks, by the way, like Sinner does in fact have Mana Leak in his hand, but Zatlkaj was smart enough to leave Mana Leak mana up.
Just getting a Visionary.
Just getting a Visionary. Interesting. That's going to generate a couple of insects.
One thing Sinner cannot do is sweep the board.
I was about to ask about that. He's just got no ability, right?
He can to some extent with the Jitte, but
he doesn't have the mana for that.
But he
this swarm of insects is good enough. I mean,
but he does not have. I'm looking, just double checking. He does not have engineered explosives. He doesn't have any access to, fire or spout or any kind of card like that. So he's.
Horizon Canopy gets sacrificed for a card draw. I like the way Zatlkaj has played this. He's essentially just building up a board. He's got 5 insects now, a couple of Hive Masters, a Visionary, a Heritage Druid, and a Llanowar Elf. And he doesn't need to combo off. It's that swarm of 1/1s. It's just more than the Fairy deck's going to be able to deal with, right?
Yeah.
There's no sweepers, and Sinner's mana problems make it really hard to imagine Jitte coming out and getting online in time to catch up.
And if he gets him low enough, he can just, Bitter Blossom him out over a couple of turns.
Right. 2 games apiece. This is the deciding game 5 to find out who goes to the semifinals to play against either Martin Juza or Sebastian Thaler. They're in game 3. Okay. There's the Mana Leak, and Heritage Druid provides 3 mana to pay for it, so Symbiote is online. He's got Symbiote, Visionary, Hive Master. This should be plenty. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and use the Symbiote.
Untap his Llanowar Elf.
Untaps Llanowar Elf. Replays Heritage Druid. 2 more insects. And go. So just a ton of monsters on Matej Zatlkaj's side of the board. Yet again, I think we're gonna watch the Elf deck win just by attacking. It's a really resilient deck for exactly that reason. Like, it's got the ability to explode combo style, but it's also got the ability to just win by attacking for damage.
Still no third.
Sinner's passed again. Still no third land.
Visionary back to his hand.
Yep. Symbiote can be used on both your turn and your opponent's turn, so the Visionary is getting cast basically twice a turn. Looking like we may see 4 Elf decks in the semifinals, Brian. Wow. We already watched the Tesserator go down to LSV, and it sure looks like Zatlkaj is going to
hard-pressed to imagine
fairies away.
Where...
Yeah, I don't see how Sinner comes back from here. There's Visionary yet again.
Are we not at the point where Zatlkaj is supposed to be attacking?
He is clearly supposed to be attacking.
I don't think it matters.
Well, I think he wants to play his spells first so that he's got Mana Leak mana available.
Sure.
Off Heritage Druid. And then once he's done playing spells, he can tap everybody to attack. Yeah. Just sending the insects in, I believe. Doesn't want to let Spellstutter Strike. Well, I mean, Spellstutter Strike, Fairy Rogue. So he doesn't really want to get his Hive Masters picked off. He just decides to send in enough insects to clear the way.
Splatters 3 bugs on his windshield.
Yeah, pretty much. There's Heritage Druid mana.
makes 3 mana. Makes 3 mana, untaps an elf, returns Visionary, makes some insects. This game is over all but, I mean, really, I think one more attack step.
There's the handshake. Fist pump from Zatlkaj with the fist pump. Wow. Matej Zatlkaj in his elf deck through to the semifinals where he'll be playing a mirror match against one of the guys he play tested with, either Martin Juza or Sebastian Thaler. And this Pro Tour is going to be won by elves. 4 of them will be in the semifinals, and one of those 4 will go down as the Pro Tour Berlin champion. We know who 3 of the contestants are. We know Saito is going to be playing LSD in a star-studded semifinal on one side of the bracket. We know Matej Zatlkaj will be playing the mirror match against one of his teammates on the other side, but which one will it be? Will it be Martin Juza of the Czech Republic, who so far put up 10th place and 19th place finishes this Pro Tour season? Or will it be Sebastian Thaler, the 2006 Rookie of the Year, who now, by the way, leads that match 2-1? Thaler just won Game 4. They are now shuffling up for just won Game 3. They are now shuffling up for Game 4 with Thaler up 2-1.
How amazing!
Who do you like in this match?
Just before you even say that, just how amazing is the experience? You play test with a friend. You play test with a friend for a Pro Tour.
Yes.
The play testing pays off. You win your quarterfinal match, and then you get up, turn to the other quarterfinal table, and you high-five your friend that you were just testing your deck.
It's pretty cool. I mean, we've seen it a couple times with teams in, right? We had, Your Move Games probably had the most impressive run. There was that Pro Tour Houston where they had 3 of the top 4. Right. Justin Gary won it. Rob Doherty and Darwin Castle were both in that top 8. So, I mean, you have seen it a time or two where a team has just totally dominated a tournament, but it's unusual, and it is very impressive when it happens.
These 3 guys made a real run at it.
Absolutely.
So
it's sort of unfortunate for them that they got stuck paired here in the quarterfinal, Thaler and Juza.
What was the last time we had someone from the country formerly known as Czechoslovakia?
Sure. With Czechoslovakia when Jakob Schlemmer became world champion back in 97, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, 97.
And you really thought that was going to become a country, a powerhouse country in terms of Magic.
I mean, it was for a while.
Yeah.
It absolutely was.
And, Juza's been, from the Czech Republic, has just been, making his surge.
Sure.
Apparently they have a real gaming ethic.
Yeah, no, just listening to Rich talk on the floor, talking about the Dungeons & Dragons miniatures is won by a Czech player. Yeah, that gaming culture makes sense. I mean, Germany's a big gaming culture, too.
Absolutely. I mean, you just have to look at Essen, like the biggest game convention in the world, right? Is in Germany.
So we do have Matej Zatlkaj from the Slovak Republic sitting in the semis. Here, it's Juza from the Czech Republic, Sebastian Thaler from Germany.
Hometown hero.
Hometown hero?
I guess
Denis Sinner, the other German player, was just eliminated.
So just going back to your question, you asked who did I like in this match? Thaler's up 2, and I've been so impressed over the past couple of years watching Thaler play.
Mm-hmm.
But Juza has just made a similar impression upon me. And the confidence and the grace with which he plays, I know that seems like an odd thing to talk about when you play Magic. I really feel like he can come back and win this. And so I'm gonna pick Juza for the comeback.
Nice. It's hard to argue with Thaler up a game, but I mean, Juza is been playing great Magic all weekend. Been playing great Magic all year. I mean, you certainly have to give Juza the edge on player skill in most matchups across the Pro Tour, but I don't know about this one.
No, very, very difficult.
Martin Juza is, it's funny, we talked about Rich Hagon. He called Juza on Thursday before the tournament even began as his pick.
Yeah, we gave him credit for that in the wrap-up last night.
So turn 1 Heritage Druid for Juza. Thaler leads with a Nettle Sentinel.
So Thaler, in case you were curious, 3, 1, and 2 against elves. We had said that he was 7, 1, and 2 against elves.
Yeah.
Which is how he had described it, but he was actually 7, 1, and 2 against fairies and elves.
Oh, okay.
So 3, 1, and 2 against elves, yes, over the weekend. Including a draw with Martin Juza, which was the incomplete game.
Yeah, 0-0 draw. Juza heads into the red zone, gets a point of damage through.
Now, Juza, on the other hand, was 4, 0, and 2 against elves in the mirror.
Okay.
Including one of those draws is obviously a giveaway to Jan Doise.
Right.
In the last round. And the other being his draw with Thaler. So this is the only elf deck he hasn't beaten.
That's Nettle Sentinel, right? Why did Nettle Sentinel not block Heritage Druid? There's Birchlore Ranger.
Because there was a Pendelhaven in play.
Ah, Pendelhaven, sure. That'll do it.
Way up in the corner.
Okay, Hive Master for Juza. He's going to start spitting out insect tokens. Birchlore Ranger for Thaler.
Which tap for 1 mana.
And there's Thoughtseize, so it taps for black mana. And we get to see a hand of Visionary, Land, Essence Warden, and is that another land?
Is that a Court of Calling?
Oh, it might be Court. It's Court of Calling.
Oh, and
Glimpse Court.
That's not a land on the top. Wow, what do you think? What do you think? Glimpse or Court?
Wow. Yeah, Glimpse and Court are the options. Looks like he's going to take the Glimpse. Court of Calling's pretty scary when he's got Hive Master. It's a good-looking hand for Martin Juza, despite the Thoughtseize. And we see Thaler's hand, like a collection of elves. Horizon Canopy for Symbiote.
Untap his Sentinel.
Yep. He's got access to another mana if he wants it for the Birchlore Ranger.
Well, he could play every 1-drop in his hand here if he wanted to.
Yep. Chips the turn.
Alright. Sweet.
Did Juza miss making an insect there?
No, it's an insect. Symbiote. Oh, Symbiote's an elf.
Oh,
Symbiote is an insect.
Symbiote is the insect. Hive Master makes the insects. There we go. That used to screw me up and block, too.
Alright, Martin Juza has the ability to attack thanks to Pendelhaven.
He's only sending in his insect.
Interestingly, Thaler brought in 4 Thoughtseize, and he has Brain Freeze in his sideboard.
Yeah, he
can actually deck his opponent in the middle of them going off.
He and Doise both had that, but and I thought that was very interesting. It should have, you can wait till your opponent has a glimpse on the stack and.
Right. No, if you've got Birchlore Ranger and 3 other guys, 4 total guys. I can see it totally coming up. Like, if they're going off with Glimpse, it's going to be essentially impossible for them to play around Brain Freeze.
Yeah, you put the card draw on the stack, Glimpse them. I mean, Brain Freeze them, and then...
The trick is just to have the mana available and the Brain Freeze in your hand. Of course, in a situation like this, Thaler can threaten it, because he knows that Juza knows that he has it, and that might slow Juza down. So Juza plays a Visionary, draws a card, makes himself another insect, and now he's in the tank. Three elves from Heritage Druid for 3 mana. Here's Essence Warden, making an insect, which he does see quickly enough to get the life. There's Birchlore Ranger, that's worth an insect and a life. Without the Glimpse in his hand, this unable to actually combo out here. This is just sort of building up board position. setting up cord potentially. He can cord for 2 right now. And certainly as, if Thaler starts to go off, Juza will throw more insects and be able to cord for whatever he wants.
I'm going for 1.
Oh, there's another land, so he can cord for Pontiff right now, even without help. Alright, Juza clearly ahead on the board, but with Glimpse in his graveyard, he was unable to combo off. That Thoughtseize, I think the game would have been over there if it wasn't for Thoughtseize.
I'm pretty sure. He goes, how many cards deeper into his deck that turn?
Juza's pretty close to Lethal Predator Dragon, even without ever glimpsing, right?
I think depending on what happens
He
here,
untaps, he can go for it.
I think depending on what happens here, he's going to go for the...
Just get a dragon. Well, you're right. So, Juza has essentially shipped the turn saying, look, if you start to scare me, I'm just going to get Pontiff and blow your team away. But if you don't win here, I'm just going to go get Dragon and kill you.
And again, he's going to get enough insects as he starts to go off.
Right, he can get Dragon in the middle.
But he'll get the extra 3 mana he needs to get the Dragon right now.
Which is tricky. It's like Thaler needs to combo with Brain Freeze here. It's not even clear he can get through with the Dragon because it certainly would be hard for Thaler to make a big enough Dragon to go through here. But
he's not wasting any time here.
Looks like Juza doesn't want to risk allowing Symbiote.
Actually, what I think he's going for here, did he tap all his mana?
He got extra. He used Birchboard Rangers.
So there's a possibility that he was going for Aethersworn Canonist.
Interesting.
Still tapped in. Right.
So we don't know what he's getting yet. We know that Thaler is forced to respond because when Cord resolves, that card comes into play while it's resolving. So Thaler is trying to... He's got the Symbiote, so he's effectively playing around Pontiff by returning Birchboard Rangers to his hand. Now, Cord is resolving, we'll find out what Martin Juza wants to get.
I think it's going to be the Aethersworn Canonist.
So tell us exactly what the Canonist does.
Aethersworn Canonist says that basically each player can play 1 non-artifact spell each turn.
So Juza has put Arcane Lab into play.
Correct.
Or Rule of Law, if you prefer.
Correct.
Each player, including himself, is now limited to one spell per turn. None of them have any artifacts. So that Visionary that Thaler just committed to, that's it. He's done. No more spells.
Right. An insect for Juza.
It's a really clever play from Martin Juza. He's got a giant board advantage with all those insects, and he's effectively icing it in. It's like, getting out an Ernogen and then Armageddon away all the lands, right? I've got an advantage, I'm just going to ice the game.
You can't catch up.
Oh, right, for the, yeah, right. 25. Well, you can't play any more spells.
Yeah. Has to pass the turn.
Yeah.
No artifacts to play.
Yeah, so Thaler's side of the board is, he does have the 2/2 Nettle Sentinel untapped, but Pendelhaven means whatever Juza can beat it up.
Thaler's
There's a
at
Symbiote.
15.
Yeah, no, I think Juza just brawls. He brawls, whatever the Sentinel blocks is going to get Pendelhaven. The question is anybody too important to send in?
That's what he's trying to figure out right now.
Maybe the Hive Master?
Maybe the Essence Ward? Not the Essence Ward.
I think... Yeah, I don't think Essence Ward is relevant.
He's decided Hive Master.
And Canonist is going to stay safe.
He's going to hang out with the Canonist.
Yeah, send the rest.
I think everyone else is going to get in.
Get in there.
Nope.
Visionary hangs out?
Gets in for 5 here. 6 if he wants to use the Pendelhaven. If he uses the Pendelhaven to kill the Sentinel, he loses 2 guys, gets in for 5.
He trades 2 guys. That seems fine.
Yeah.
Seems totally fine. Yeah, put the Visionary back on the attack side. Save Hive Master. I like that play.
Right.
Just let the rest brawl.
Because then he's going up in guys asymmetrically.
Exactly.
Thaler.
There they go. Into the red zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insect tokens, plus a Visionary, a Birchlore Ranger, an Essence Warden, and a Heritage Druid.
And any blocks at all are going to leave Thaler with no guys.
And Thaler, thanks to the Canonist,
and
has
one guy a turn.
very little ability. Does he have any way to get Canonist off the board? Is it actually permanent?
I don't believe he has any way. I mean, I'm not sure. I'll take a look and see.
It's an artifact, right? So
It is an artifact, but I
shaman
don't know that he's kept his shamans around.
Yeah, it seems like they're likely to be in the sideboard.
He's got 1 shaman main, 2 in the side.
Yeah. Thaler takes all of it. Kind of wants to keep the symbiote Visionary around, but
I think he's just going to extend the hand
yeah,
here. Yep.
scoop. There you go. Martin Juza with a really clever use of Court of Calling. Juza evens this match 2 games apiece. We are headed to game number 5.
Sure. He could have plunked him, but Thaler could still just climb back up from there.
Yeah, no, I think that was really smart. He could have Pontiff to wipe out Thaler's board. He could have gone all in on a Predator Dragon to win on the next turn, but he could have held the cord so that he could threaten Predator Dragon with an immediate win. But he's like, nope, Canonist both hoses you and ices my advantage. I think this is both disruption and victory. Really clever magic from Martin Juza. Now, we go to game 5. Thaler will get to play first.
Thaler's thinking about his shaman.
Yeah. Yeah, Thaler is...
I mean, you bring in at least 1 shaman now as a silver bullet for cord, right?
That makes sense to me. Certainly happy that 4 of the 5 games here are being played sideboarded after the marathon game 1. 300 some life apiece. Thaler did eventually get a big enough Predator Dragon to win. 278, 278. That's
something they could not do in the Swiss. They could not complete a game against each other in the Swiss.
Yep.
Not a single game.
Here's a look at Juza's hands. He is sitting up, leaning forward, pretty happy with himself.
Yeah, I've been this
feeling a lot more confident now.
First chance I've had to really watch him play, and I've just been bowled over by his composure, his mind for the game. Seems like the real deal. Seems like someone we're going to be talking about a lot over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely.
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? This feels like, I'm sure for a lot of people at home, it's like, this is his breakout tournament.
Right.
But again,
10th at Hollywood, 19th at KL. Or I think it was the other way around.
Top 16 and a top 32.
Yeah. I mean, 19th feels better than a top 32.
Yeah. And where is he in the Player of the Year race?
I was just thinking the same thing.
If he wins this event, where does he go in the Player of the Year race?
I gotta think he's right in it. I don't think he has a ton of Grand Prix points. I mean, he hasn't been traveling the world the way Shuhei and Olivier have. But 25 is a lot. With a win here, with a top 16 and a top 20, I would think he'd have a shot going into Worlds.
Certainly, running together 2 wins would be enough.
However, his worst result this year is a 19th. So. Yeah, Thaler is studying his sideboard.
I mean, maybe he's trying to figure out, how much does he dilute his combo?
I
mean, that's the thing that struck me when I was looking at all the sideboard options for these decks is how much...
What do you take out?
What do you take out? How much do you thin down what your deck does?
It's tricky. It's definitely tough.
And that's still dependent on what your opponent's doing.
Yeah, I don't think there's room for a lot.
Start.
Juza has 25 pro points coming into this event. So if he doubles that to 50, I think he's within single digits of Shuhei. I think Shuhei's got 50 something.
Digits.
I think Shuhei has 50 something. Wow. Right. Yeah, Saito's in a similar position. I don't know if Saito has 25, but has 28. Saito came in with 28.
I think Saito was able to get within 5 or 6 points with a win.
And Saito came in at 28. Juza came in at 25.
Yeah.
So they've had similar years to this point. Now you see what we mean about Juza, right? Here's the company he's keeping. He's got basically the resume of the reigning Player of the Year.
Only counted.
One more check inside. Is he just counting to make sure it's 15, or is he actually just thinking about?
I think he's thinking. This is a big game. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pro points on the line. There's a lot of history on the line. Oh, last minute change. Took out an Elvis Champion, put back in a Summoner's pack.
Elvis Champion's another very interesting card in this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people had one of them. Like, most of the Elves deck had, like, one, maybe two Elvis Champions, presumably for the mirror.
Yeah, and Sebastian, what I think is very interesting, had his main deck, which may contribute something to his solid record against the in the mirror.
Right. Seems relevant. I mean, the way these guys have it built, you've got so much life from the Essence Warden that Elvis Champion's not enough to get it done. But I mean, if your target is 20 or 30 damage, Elvis Champion can totally do that.
Or if you're playing LSV and you're gaining life,
it's true.
You'll gladly Forest Walk. You don't care if he Forest Walks you back.
Right. Right. LSV's version does not have Essence Warden. All right, big match. These guys are taking their time to get prepared. After this match, we are going to be taking a lunch break. We've got an hour of clips set up to entertain you through the lunch break. I know it's might be time to grab breakfast if you're watching stateside. Might be time to grab lunch here in Europe.
Time to grab 45 minutes of sleep.
Nah, don't do that. That never works. You need a really strong alarm clock if you're going to run that strategy. So after we come back, it will be Saito versus Scott-Vargas, and it'll be Zatlkaj versus the winner of this game. Either Martin Juza from the Czech Republic or Sebastian Thaler from Germany. Juza hanging out. He's ready. Sebastian Thaler debated on a sideboard for a good long while. Wandered off, I believe, to use the restroom.
So while we're waiting for these guys to just go through the final pregame preparations, I got a story from Bill Stark.
Okay.
Maybe explains what Jan Doise was doing in that last match.
Okay.
He said he comboed in a must-win Game 3 from one Forest and one Nettle Sentinel.
Wow.
So he had to use double Summoner's Pack to do it, with 2 Glimpse of Nature resolved, played the last card in his hand, an Elf, needed to rip a creature, he did it. Oh, this was against Saito in Game 3.
Oh, this is how Game 3 ended?
This is how Game 3 ended. With 2 Glimpse of Nature resolved, played the last card in his hand, an Elf, needed to rip a creature, he did it. Went sufficiently large to Saito's and Bill Stark's shock. So that's probably what he was hoping for there at the end of that final game in the match.
So he pulled it off in one game, but fizzled in the fourth one. Thaler is back and shuffling. So you picked Juza for the comeback, huh?
I did.
Well, he's going second here. How different are their decks? I mean, they're one card off in the main deck. They're almost exact mirrors. And even the card, it's like one Summoner's Pact versus, it's like an extra Summoner's Pact versus an extra Visionary. It's like they both, even the one card that they're off is, well, what's the right sort of card draw, card filter selection thing? The sideboards are more different than that, though.
Juza has more Chatees.
I don't think that's been relevant here.
He has fewer Shamans.
Okay. So,
total between.
Is there a Canonist in?
There is a Canonist.
They each have one Canonist.
They each have a Canonist. There's a Tarfiend in the sideboard of Juza's deck. There's
which I believe he's brought in. So it's Tarfiend versus Brain Freeze is the most relevant difference?
Tarfiend and Brain Freeze, yes.
And what's the Pontiff count?
Pontiff.
There's no Pontiff.
Is there no
from Thaler?
Pontiff in Thaler's deck?
Thaler does not have access to a Pontiff.
Pontiff.
He's got a couple of chokes, which is how he beat the Tezzerator, to be fair. I watched that match. It's hard for Tezzerator when choke's in play.
Wow.
But yeah, no Pontiff from Thaler. Juza's deck seems a little better set up for the mirror then. Tarfiend also seems potentially relevant.
Absolutely. Again, it's, how can I win with a small, well, not that that's a small chord, but you can just strip your opponent's hand. You can mind twist them.
All right, 7 cards apiece.
And run it.
Thaler. studies. Are these the cards that are going to get me through to the semifinals? These guys tested together for this event. They found the best deck. They tweaked it. They tuned it.
They made their own little personal nuanced changes to it. Thaler has not gotten out of the quarterfinals and it did not get out of the quarterfinals in his last Pro Tour top 8 appearance.
Yeah, he's had a collection of top 16s and a top 8, but never been to the top 4.
Right. So how much does that play into? How much do you start thinking about?
I don't think it bothers Thaler. He just seems like such a calm, like sort of stoic guy. Just never seems very emotional at all. I'm sure he wants to win. I'm sure there's some amount of pressure, but Juza taking a long stare at his 7.
I understand treating every game the same, and it's obviously a quality.
It's easier to say than do.
Right. Everyone else is done. Whoever wins this match advances and gets to keep playing Magic.
Juza's apparently looking at a 1 forest hand. Shaking his
Looks
head.
like he's going to send it back.
Yes. Sends it back. Looks at the top couple. He took the peek. Took the peek. I think he was happy with the peek. I think I saw Tar Fiend on top of his deck. Definitely not the card you wanted to draw. It's like you were already mulligan, right?
It was a test. Oh, can you imagine that? You don't mulligan, and you're like, oh, I can do it for you.
I'll draw something.
You draw a 6-caster.
That would...
So Thaler's going to start this game with 7. And Juza is going to start with some number of cards fewer than that.
Still like Juza for the comeback?
I do. How is everything going on the forums?
Yeah, I was just looking. They were very impressed by the... I'm still catching up, so...
Okay.
Right now they're very impressed by the Chalice for One that Kenny Öberg came out with so blisteringly fast. That was not the way that story is going to be remembered, however. Chalice for One came out game 1. Chalice for One came out game 2.
It felt like he was so close to winning that 3rd game on 4 cards.
Yeah, it really did.
5th, I'm sorry, that was the 4th game, because he was on the play with 4 cards.
Yeah.
All right. Will he find 6 cards that he wants to start with?
Chord, Virtual Arranger, Elf. Is there a forest in there? No land. That's a problem. That's got to get cashed in. What, he's going to play the top deck of forest? Why is he even thinking about this? Okay.
He's got 17 lands to draw, so...
Yeah. You got to cash that in. So Martin Juza will have 5 cards. Mulligans 1 land into 0.
Did he peek that time?
No, I didn't see it. I don't think so. The main thing they seem to be talking about in the forums is they really want Pat Chapin's deck list. I've read at least 4 messages so far asking for a Pat Chapin Next Level Blue deck list.
The Next Level Blue and the Next Level Gifts that we did the deck tech on.
I think it was the one he played in the Pro Tour. Is that next to Next Level Blue?
He called it actually Next Level Gifts.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think that a lot of the feature matches we did this weekend were actually coded with timestamps.
Yes.
So we didn't want to reveal deck lists during the tournament while the information would affect the competition, but every feature match from the entire weekend is actually going to have the deck list added into those feature match stories.
And I think all the deck techs, if you go to YouTube, in the little frame around the deck tech,
Oh, cool.
have the deck lists. So the deck list should be there with it.
Very cool.
And we laid the whole deck out.
Yes, we did. Oh, Juza draws 5, smiles, shakes his head, and slouches. 2 land, and the Predator Dragon is in his hand. Court of Calling, Glimpse of Nature, no creatures. Wow, that is a god-awful 5-mana, 5-card hand. Forest, Chord, Glimpse, Predator Dragon. No elves anywhere in sight. And they're Horizon Canopy, sorry, they're not even forests. I think you cash it in, right? It is a 4-card hand, and it's a bad 4-card hand,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Predator
Your
Dragon is a
4-card
blank.
hand almost has to be better than it.
Your average 4-card hand is better than Canopy, Chord, Glimpse.
Yes.
Right?
But again, if he draws, he can sort of maybe pull himself out of it if he draws 1 elf.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you just have to compare that.
You just have to ship it back.
That is a 4-card hand, because the Predator Dragon is blank.
Right.
So you have to compare it to your average 4-card hand. And I really think Canopy, Glimpse, Chord is worse than the average 4-card hand. And
is he going to keep this? Sort of settled into like almost like playing posture.
keeps it.
Wow.
Symbiote for Sebastian Thaler. And Hive Master off the top for Martin Juza. So no turn 1 play. Which I'm sure tells Thaler a lot. Thaler's looking over at him. What can you keep with no turn 1 play? Yep. Symbiote gets in there for 1. And down comes Hive Master. This draw looks pretty solid for Thaler. Just Hive Master Symbiote can make 1,000,000 insects. That could easily be enough to beat Martin Juza, given how bad his draw is. Oof. Pair of canopies, and here's a Hive Master. A painful Hive Master.
And what's so brutal here is even if he starts to stabilize, as if Thaler has any access to a Court of Calling, he's just going to be able to punish. And he can also punish, if he gets out ahead, he can also punish with the Aethersworn Canonist himself.
Yeah, but he does not have the Pontiff.
Right.
No Pontiffs in Thaler's deck.
Trying to figure out how to play around the Hive synergy.
Hive Master was a pretty good draw for Juza. I mean, the fact that it sees Thaler's elves
Right.
definitely buys him some time, at least.
I guess Thaler's not going to attack this turn. Oh, there's Glimpse of Nature.
Well, there's Glimpse. Is he going off, or is he just building up board position? Hive Master Chord is sitting there. Heritage Druid. Juza gets an insect.
They both get one. This could get interesting.
Now we know that Juza has Court of Calling in his hand, which means he can go get a Pontiff.
If he gets to 6 green creatures,
Sebastian Thaler doesn't know.
he has to at least consider it. Though.
Sure. But I mean, he's got a Glimpse of Nature in his hand. He's got to be trying to think, am I going for this? I've got Heritage Druid, I've got Symbiote Hive Master. How does he play this game? Pays some life to get a land untapped.
Oh, right, sorry. You're A3, yeah, right.
Round 2 into Birchfloor Rangers.
Birchfloor Ranger draws a card. So he's got one elf that does not have summoning sickness and 2 that do. That's what you see the dice going on at the top of the screen.
Three green mana in his mana pool.
Yep. Heritage Druid.
Another Glimpse of Nature here.
I think that's what Thaler's trying to figure out. It's like, does he go for it here? I mean, I haven't seen exactly what's in his hand, but like second glimpse and any elf, you got to think you're off to the races there. He pretty much could win, other than there's this threat of Court of Calling for Pontiff,
So 3
breaking
mana,
everything up in the middle.
3 mana, return an elf, untap an elf.
Yep. So draws a card with Birchfloor Ranger.
So he's used Wirewood Symbiote for the turn.
Yep. There's another Birchfloor Ranger. 1 creature away from Pontiff mana for Martin Juza.
I mean, Thaler has
It's actually 9 mana. He can cord for Dragon here. If he's got a cord. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And
He's got cord. He just gets a dragon right now. And Juza can't do anything about it.
well, he can respond to casting Cord
With
Oh, he can't do anything right now. He can't. He doesn't have the 6.
he doesn't have the 6th guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think Thaler
That's the play.
actually,
That's absolutely.
if he's got a cord in his hand, he actually got up to dragon without risking getting pontiffed. Right? I don't
And that's
think
a-
Juza can cord for a 1 or 2 drop that does anything.
Well, let's take a look.
I mean, Canonist doesn't help, right?
No.
Doesn't counter them, it just prevents them from being played, but it's already been played. Of course, this all assumes Thaler has a Court of Calling in his hand, which I don't think he actually does.
Oh, wow.
Alright, looks like... Looked like he was thinking about Heritage Druid there, but...
Or did he wash 1 mana through a Birchfloor Ranger or something? I don't know. Not sure what he did. What did he...
You win for 1?
Ships the turn and mana burns for 1.
Wow. And now, if you're user, you just, I mean, you do what Saito did, right? Don't you just upkeep Pontiff? I mean,
Pontiff
heaven
kills
forbid you draw it.
everything.
Everything on his side of the table.
Yes, I would upkeep Pontiff. He did not, in fact, draw the Pontiff. Still, it did seem risky. Gotta believe he cored for Pontiff there.
I don't have the score, but
I mean, there's obviously nothing in Thaler's hand. He shipped. But I guess,
Well,
but
he
has
knows
to,
Pontiff.
But he has to respect the fact that Thaler might have Cord. And Predator Dragon back.
No, if Thaler had cord, he would have just gotten a Predator Dragon there.
Sure.
So therefore, Thaler does not have cord. Martin Jesus should know that Thaler does not have cord in his hand. Which means what? Now users go, okay, my opponent does not have a cord in his hand. He's got a bunch of
He
guys.
can't even save a guy his Pendelhaven is tapped. I mean, it just seems like it's the time to do it.
You wipe him out, but I mean, is there a win? Like, what if he just got Predator Dragon? He's too short, but I mean, he could. I mean, yes, Juza can go get Pontiff, which kills every creature on Thaler's side of the board. That does seem good. Allows him to attack for.
Oh, he's looking. He has a
5
in his hand.
But it's like, can he do better than that?
Right.
If you had the 4th, then you would just have to be.
It's almost a hand up in like disbelief.
Why wouldn't you? I don't know.
Something's happened.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
That's a cord.
6. Yeah, it does look like a
Can we take one?
Okay. Decides cord for Pontiff, destroy your entire board is good enough.
So, Thaler could save one guy with the symbiote.
Yep. Wow. Thaler's thinking about a response. He should save somebody. There's no reason not to return a creature to his hand. He knows Pontiff's coming here, right? It's a cord for 3. It's obviously a great play.
Sure.
Is Martin Juza really going to win this off a crappy 5-card hand?
He returns the
Heritage
Heritage
Druid.
Druid.
Okay.
So, Juza taps all those insects, uses cord for 3. Goes and he gets, should be,
Orzhov
yeah,
Pontiff.
Orzhov Pontiff.
No other play.
Everybody gets -1/-1. Down goes 5 insect tokens,
Maybe.
a symbiote, 2 Birchlore Rangers, and a Hive Master.
Double check, but yes, Pontiff. Wow.
Yeah, Thaler was an inch away. If Thaler had drawn a cord, he would be advanced in the semifinals.
This, and you know, so you and I have been talking about Nettle Sentinel,
Take this.
Hive Master.
Yeah.
This is all on the Hive Master.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Canonist off the canopy. Unbelievable. Hard cast the Canonist. Locks in an advantage of 7 creatures to 0.
That has to be. Is this a shaman?
Oh,
It is a
Viridian Shaman. Yeah, that helps, but still.
Cards.
It gets an insect.
Token.
Wow.
Wow.
Too bad.
All right, Martin Juza has 5 insects, a Hive Master, and an Orzhov Pontiff.
Thaler's reading about.
We may have Haunt come into play here. Now recall, Juza's been playing this whole game with Predator Dragon.
Oh,
in
that's
his
right. We were
hand.
talking about him getting Predator Dragon, but he could not do that.
Well, Thaler could.
Yeah.
Juza cannot. No Birchlore Ranger, so no red mana in sight. Now what does Martin Juza do? There's a gigantic 2/2 on the other side of the board, big enough to beat up anybody that he sends. Could serve with...
Take one.
looks like he's going to play Visionary.
He's going to choose not to use his glimpse.
Draw a card.
Okay.
Play another... Get another insect. Juza does have Glimpse in his hand.
She's going to smash here.
One of them has Summoning Sickness. Moves that off to the side. Yeah, I think. She's hurt with Pontiff, too. What happens? Yeah, it just dies for... It could trade with Viridian Shaman.
Which is fine.
Yep. Now if you're Thaler, do you want to get Pontiff off the board so you don't accidentally kill it later? Or pick off an insect and keep your Shaman alive?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage.
He's got to whittle this down.
Now what? Sebastian Thaler untaps. He was able to shaman away an Aethersworn Canonist that threatened to ice the game.
We know he's holding a Heritage Druid.
We know he returned Heritage Druid to his hand previously. He needs to go off. What's he got? He does have a glimpse of nature.
I think he is just gonna.
Yep, there's the glimpse. Untapped. The Hive Master still threatening Chord for Juza. We know he doesn't have another Chord in his hand. At least I don't think he does. But again, Thaler doesn't know that.
Here comes Heritage Druid and Symbiote. Oh no, here comes Visionary.
Visionary. Draws 2 cards, one from the Visionary, one from the Glimpse. Juza eagerly reaches for an insect token. Pretty much seems like Thaler needs to go off here or he's going to die to a horde of insects.
Plays Heritage Druid.
Yeah, we think Heritage Druid is the next play.
Wants to save his Pendelhaven in case he needs to kill 2 guys.
Willing to take a damage rather than tap a Pendelhaven. Is that second Glimpse? Yes, second Glimpse. Now here comes Heritage Druid, drawing 2 cards.
Another token. 3 mana.
Big ring, right?
Yep, 3 mana from the Heritage Druid.
Symbiote.
Does he have a symbiote?
I thought he had a Symbiote.
That would be good, because then you get an untap and a...
Oh,
there's a Nettle
Sentinel.
2 cards.
Oh, I think he might pull this off.
It looks like he might pull this off. He's drawn a Chord. He's got the Elves. He's got a symbiote. It looks like Sebastian Thaler is off to the races. Starting to play a little quicker. Juza's only got the 1 Pontiff, right?
Yep.
So Thaler knows it's gone. It can't come out to disrupt him?
Correct.
So Thaler, the Pontiff is gone. The Court of Calling as a response is possible for Martin Juza, but there's nothing left on his deck list that could break this up. With the possible exception of a dragon to chump block with. So Symbiote comes down, Nettle Sentinel gets untapped, Thaler draws 2 cards. So every time Thaler plays an elf, plays a creature, he gets to untap Nettle Sentinel, he gets to draw 2 cards. Yeah, Juza slumps back in his chair. Sebastian Thaler started this turn with nothing in play except a Viridian Shaman. 4 lands and a Viridian Shaman. Yep, here's another Heritage Druid. An Ocean of Insects from Juza, but no Canonist. The Canonist is gone. The Pontiff is gone. Juza's just staring over, hoping something happens, but this is out of his control. And he knows it, and Thaler knows it. Second Nettle Sentinel means Thaler has effectively infinite mana.
Wow.
He can cast everything.
He gets 3 mana. He makes 3 mana off of every creature he plays.
Yeah, effectively, he can cast everything in his deck now.
Taps 2 Nettle Sentinels. Oh!
So the only thing Thaler's got to worry about is a potentially Juza Chord as a response, which we know Juza doesn't have. But even if he did, all he can do is get from Thaler's seat. The worst thing that Juza can do to him is go get his own Predator Dragon, right?
Correct. And I think it's a little worse than that for Juza.
Well, we know the Predator Dragon's in his hand.
No, I feel like I saw a blue card in Thaler's
Oh, is he going to get
hand.
Brain Freeze?
So even if he had the Chord, he could Brain Freeze him in response.
Oh, is that Thaler showing his hand? He's got the Brain Freeze. Yeah, brain freeze. There's nothing that Juza can do against a brain freeze.
You have some flow thing? 4? 4,
He's got the chords. He's got.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's the hand.
Okay.
Sebastian Thaler, 3 games to 2. Sebastian Thaler through to the semifinals, where he will be playing against Matej Zatlkaj, a buddy of Juza's. He's beaten one playtest partner. Now he's got to go beat the friend. Whew.
Zatlkaj just went by and said, "Thaler's going down."
Hello. Sebastian Thaler, great Magic player. Martin Juza, great Magic player. That match was epic.
I mean, functionally a 4-card hand.
Yeah.
For Martin Juza.
Martin Juza kept effectively a 4-card hand, but was able to get the Court of, he had the Hive Master. He was able to chord for the Pontiff. He was able to put Canonist on the board, icing a seemingly won game, but Sebastian Thaler had sideboarded in
The Shaman.
the Shaman. He lost to the Canonist in Game 4. He goes to his sideboard, gets a Shaman, just so that it won't happen again in Game 5, and then bam, there it is.
Draws it natural.
Yeah.
He doesn't cheat it
Off
in
the top.
with the quarter call.
He wouldn't have been able to get it for the cord because he didn't have any creatures. Because they all got pontiffed away, and then the game got iced with Canonist. Juza played brilliantly, and that far away from pulling off a win in Game 5 off a 5-card hand, and a bad 5-card hand. But decided sideboarded correctly.
Decided he would rather have 2 lands to work with than 4 unknown cards, I guess.
Right. I think that's right. I mean, Hive Master was so huge.
Yeah, but that one came off the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's playing. I've got the cord. I've got 2 lands.
Yeah,
Hive Master would make my draw fine. And he was right. If he drew a Hive Master, his draw was fine. But Thaler had done the right thing. He'd gone out. He'd gotten the Shaman out of his sideboard, brings it in, bashes away the Canonist, and is able to go off the next turn. So, great Magic. Sebastian Thaler through to the semifinals. The semifinals are going to be coming to you in 1 hour. We're going to be taking a lunch break. When we come back, you have the headliner, reigning player of the year, Tomoharu Saito. Reigning, everybody wants to know what he's playing, right? Scott-Vargas.
Absolutely. Member of the super team. I mean, that's one of the stories coming in.
Definitely.
Scott-Vargas came to Berlin early.
He's been here for weeks. Multiple weeks.
Been here for weeks. Worked with his friend Paul Cheon.
Yes.
Worked with fellow American Patrick Chapin.
Yes.
Worked with French players.
Well,
Olivier Ruel.
the best description of it was
Ruel.
LSVs, the Ruels and the Guillaumes. So, Guillaume off the topo, Guillaume Matignon, and the mastermind behind the whole thing, Manuel B.
Manuel Boucher.
Manuel Boucher is really the networker, the guy that put that team together. So, Scott-Vargas plays against Tomoharu Saito, and on the other side, you've got Thaler versus Zatlkaj.
All elves, all the time.
All elves, all the time. But a lot of great names, a lot of great Magic left to be played. We will see you guys in 1 hour. We'll be back after the lunch break with semifinal action from Pro Tour Berlin.
Go get some coffee.